Approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions? I don't. Did that? No, we've got that on there already. Okay, good. Any other? No. All right. Look for a motion to approve the agenda then.
No move.
Second. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Perfect. Approval of the December 17th meeting minutes and the December 22nd meeting minutes. The 17th was the special meeting and the 22nd was our regular meeting that we had postponed from our usual time.
I move we accept those minutes.
Second. Thank you. Feel like we're all a little. I can tell it's ski day. Everybody's tired. All right. Any discussion about the meeting minutes?
There was someone who wanted to add to the 22nd.
There's definitely something that I need to get corrected.
Yeah, added person, in the opening of the public who was there.
On the 22nd?
Yes. Because, and it's noted in the minutes, because my mom said something, which was colonial,
Oh, right, because she was online.
was online, so
Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, the approval of the agenda on the 22nd minutes. I didn't say who made the motion. I just said that Jen seconded it. So I don't know who made the motion. Anyway,
Which motion?
The
To approve the
22nd, to approve the agenda.
Oh,
It doesn't
jeez.
ring at my bell because it's a vote.
I can go back and look at the recording, then that means that
We
it's
can't
would be approved.
I think we better look. Yeah. Okay, so we have to vote down the motion if we're not going to approve the meeting minutes of the 22nd because we're not sure who motioned to approve the agenda.
So can we move to approve them with the provision that the clerk will add that information?
I think since it's just who made the motion and it's on the approval of the agenda, I'm cool with it. Everybody else okay with it? Okay. Do you want to
Okay.
restate your motion then?
We approve
Can
the,
I ask?
Yeah.
Can you just separate the two motions, like, because you got two sets of minutes here that you're approving,
Yeah. All right.
like approve the one.
Yeah, and approve the other. Sure. Okay, go, Dave.
okay, so which meeting?
Approve.
The 17th.
Is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, I move we approve the minutes of the December 17th meeting.
I second that.
All right. Sorry, now I don't know what I'm doing.
All those in favor say
No, we got any discussion. That's the one I need. No. Okay. All those in favor of approving this meeting minutes from the special meeting on December 17th?
Aye.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? Thank you. All right. Then I would look for a motion to approve the December 22nd meetings with the provision that the clerk, minute taker will find out who motioned to approve the agenda on the 22nd.
So move.
And add.
And add.
And add Pam O'Neill. There you go.
So moved.
So moved. Second, Katie. Any discussion?
Did you already approve the minutes from last?
We are trying to be, yeah, what do you got?
I have a correction. That I emailed, but it didn't get added. In the section that says, remember when I read a public comment that someone had emailed to me?
Yeah, so it was on the 22nd.
Yes. And it said that the comment was that bringing 7th and 8th graders back to the school would be good for them. But that is not what the public comment was. The comment was that it would not be good for them.
Okay.
So I wanted to be accurate.
Okay. Do you
I'll amend
have,
my motion.
Do you have documentation of what you read that we can also add to it? I thought of that.
Yes.
Okay. That way it'll just be clear for us.
Okay, so I'll amend the motion. The clerk will to determine who made the motion to approve the agenda and add that information to the minutes, and will correct the public comment, right? To say that the person did not think it was a good idea to or be good for the students to bring the 7th and 8th graders back to the elementary school. And that we'll also add the text of the public comment
Okay.
to the minutes.
Okay. And we'll add Pam O'Neill was at the meeting via Zoom.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All right. That's our motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Do we have any more discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Perfect. All right.
So,
We're going to make your sheet tonight.
Yeah, that's fine. Can you email me that? I don't recall having.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So public comment.
Oh. It's okay, just please. Sorry.
I'll just say, I think there's some people waiting to get into the Zoom. I don't know playing and running the Zoom.
I got everybody in who's there.
Oh, maybe clicking's on the wrong day.
Hey, other people are fun.
Does it end in 516? The link? I don't know.
Let me take it. Actually, it's on
5862.
5862.
Yeah, 5862.
Okay, she did the wrong one.
Okay. All right. And sorry, board member comments.
I have one. I've been thinking a lot about school board. I even asked half of you to in here to sign my petition last time, but I've decided not to run for reelection at the end of my term, which is, next month or March or something. I really enjoyed serving on the board. I think the work is so important, and that's why I felt so strongly about making time for this. But also recently I've been feeling just the pressures of time as a parent with my kids. And so I feel like I have to prioritize my non-work hours for family things. And so, was sort of with mixed emotions. I won't be running for re-election. So I don't know if there's anybody out there listening who's coming to these meetings anyway, either on Zoom or who's here from Mount Holly. There's still time to get a petition in. I'm happy to sign anybody's petition. Like I said, it's really important, and there's something really exciting to me about solving big problems. And I think that there are a lot of things to solve, and that makes it really exciting. But just the timing isn't great in my life right now. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that.
Do you know the date off the top of your head, since we have?
The 20-something. It's sometime next week.
Get the petition in as
Yeah.
the 26th.
26.
So while we're on that, can we quickly do a run through of who needs to and where the status is, so we know? And
I'm halfway through with my signatures.
okay, good.
I think I've got all the little ones here.
We go through that.
Yeah.
So the folks that we've got, and if this does not sound right, let us know. We'll go back and we'll triple check. So we got Caitlin Benson, Jamie Dickey, Katie Kay, Julie McKenzie, and Beth Merrill. To be up for elections.
Okay, so of those people, we know Julie's not.
I'm not.
You're not.
So,
You are, and you're
Stuck with me.
and I'm happy to be stuck with everybody. And you signed your petition and you're good? Have it signed?
I'm gonna maybe give it to you tomorrow morning. So
Okay.
That's okay. But I will get it in both.
Okay. And you're all set?
I will get there.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you. And if anybody wants to join this fun, now's your time.
So we moved on really quick. I just wanted to take a moment and pause and thank Julie.
I don't speak as well as her, but
It's the same.
it's, yeah,
Yeah.
I've been trying, but he's playing basketball and Jameson's busy with his extracurriculars, and finding that like all their concerts are on this, the Jameson's concert, night, Samuel's concert, so taking up that ties and those are really important, so.
All right.
I just would like to say how difficult it actually is to find people who really truly live in Ludlow and are voting. And that's very disheartening over the years as I've lived here all my life and, you know, taking a wander through Shaw's and nobody lives here. No wonder difficulties arise to support the children who live in this community, or the families all have to work elsewhere, as well as I'm still gathering names, but I'm still unsure on whether I will run, just because with my background, I could be a resource for some assistance with students, and I'll tie my hands to be any kind of consultant or helper to anything in this district if I join the board, which is what happened to me last time because they couldn't find a special educator.
Right.
So I had to leave the board to be. So anyway, it's difficult. So
And it's a
if any our
tough
level
but yeah.
person would like to sign, they sign one.
You got it?
You got it. Yes, around. All right. Administrative report, superintendent report.
Yeah, and the curriculum is under that as well. Just because she reports quarterly, I don't usually put it in, I just include it.
Yeah.
So the written report is there. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but there's some other parts and pieces that I think are kind of important for us to touch on. The big one is that there is around as part of the packets. There are all the questions that Deb was kind enough at the last open forum to kind of pull off of the chat lines. So those have been compiled. Those will be the starting point for the open forum. That'll be on January 22nd at 6 p.m. Right here. And again, the things that we'll be talking about in January, both here and on the Green Mountain side, are, making sure that people understand the budget, that they understand, the tax rate impacts. But more importantly than that is starting to have a deeper and deeper discussion about, Act 73, what it means, what the law requires, especially in terms of enrollment by grade, by course. Taking a look at where we're at and just getting some feedback from the community members in terms of, based upon that, where do you think we need to go? In this case, this is a near and dear part of the communities of both Ludlow and Mount Holly, and so that community input just needs to be there. I mean, I'm quite capable of putting the emotions aside and making a hard decision. This isn't one of those times. This is not. So it's really important for community members to come out, be involved. I know Craig and Deb have been working their tails off with different scenarios and possibilities just to kind of get the discussions flowing. But we'll talk a little bit about it when we hit the budget, that you're going to be in a okay place this year in terms of budget, but it's a one-year buy. And it's going to be critically important that there is a plan in place that's sitting on the shelf that when the time comes, we can pull off and implement the big community stuff. So, good parts and pieces there.
Question, can you explain to me the open forums? What are they?
So typically that's exactly what they're my way of kind of connecting with the community. In most cases, they're generally just what they say, they're open, right? For a chance for people to come in, whatever's on your mind, there's no cap on what you can say or what we can talk about or what we can't. Typically during budget season or when there are bigger things that we need to work on, they tend to be a little bit more focused.
So how do you announce them?
So they go out, they'll go out on the front porch forum, they'll go out on our Facebook pages, they'll go out through the messaging system that goes to everybody in the school as well. I have trouble getting on the what's the one that you got to get it in by a certain date each month?
Check.
Oh, yeah, that's that. It's the date that makes that one difficult.
But it's a monthly,
Yeah.
and you have to have it in by roughly the 20th.
Is there a list anywhere of where you can join these groups? Because I personally, after leaving the board, had only one connection, which was the angry individuals in the Ludlow or Okemo or the Mount Holly Facebook pages. Every time budget would come around, they'd say, go to these things because they're spending our money. Donate. So it was out of anger versus out of information. So I'm just wondering if somewhere there's a list so that
Is social media for the schools and
And it's also always right on the front page of the website.
Yeah.
There's the calendar. That has all the meetings, plus it'll also, if people can't find it anywhere else, those meetings will also have the links for the Zoom if people can't show up in person.
right, but they'll be looking for the school part.
Yeah.
But you're competing against the social part.
right.
Of Ludlow, who
Yeah.
is not connected to the school at all because they don't have kids in school.
Yeah.
I guess that's why I'm throwing out there somewhere, bringing those two together somehow.
We get, especially budget season,
Right.
it's kind of fun. We don't get much outside of budget season, or if there's something critical that we're talking about, but we do get community members during budget season. What will happen is after the board votes the budget, if the budget is voted, then I go into information mode, and so there'll be multiple open forums, usually a month. February we'll get hit pretty hard, going right up until the March vote. The annual report that comes out, when I write my part of it, it's usually about the tax rates and trying to explain to people, what it is we're spending, why we're spending it. And this is what the implications are on your tax rates, and really trying to make sure that they understand this is the part of it that the education in the state of Vermont is responsible for in terms of your tax change. And this is what, COA and things that are out of our control.
Do board members go to open forums?
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, occasionally.
We don't all go, and it's not like a board meeting, but I think
I'm just.
I go once in a while. Different people go at different times. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it's good. And like I said, that I'll message that out again on Sunday. It went out earlier last week, but it's the 22nd. It is here at 6 p.m. And again, a quick overview of where we expect tax rates will be, which we'll talk about tonight as well. And then trying to solicit that feedback from the community.
And could that also be included in the school newsletters?
Yeah.
Sure.
Like Braylon,
Just say like what it is. Okay.
Go ahead. Start at that.
There's a daily email in Mount Holly that you can go to. It's the newsflash. It's newsflash@mounthollywt.org. You get it in by around 6 p.m. and it'll be sent out to a significant portion of the town.
Mount Holly, one word spelled out?
Yeah.
It's newsflash@mounthollywt, as one word, no spaces, .org.
Okay.
That's a good call out, and just a PSA for anyone who's not signed up for that. And Mount Holly, you have to reach out and join the mailing list. You have to be proactive to come.
Who wants to make one thing look like?
Sounds like you're signing yourself up for that.
Like that's a great idea.
The newsflash has been going out for years, so it's pretty well established.
Is there some kind of like constant contact or like a old school listserv?
I wonder though if
Old school
Like when we're not on Facebook.
the town, could we do something like that?
I think
Like
that
when we
is
get-
similar to a robocall, right?
But like if we do something like,
Yeah.
like that, if you're signed up for that, like, hey. It might get a lot.
Well, I do the emails through that system. The robocalls I do very sparsely.
But
because-
the town one.
Yeah, the town has
Not the school,
a similar to a robocall.
It alerts like when there's a flood warning, like when there's bad weather.
Yeah, find out. So that newsflash at Mount Holly, I'm assuming there's an actual website I have to go to first to sign up to be able to use that address, or do I just send it to that address?
Right.
Oh, okay. Send him an email and say you want to be added to the list, and you send him an email saying, please post this, he does.
Okay.
You'll get lots of ads for the Blue Farm,
Right.
Which is wonderful.
because he runs it.
It's tough.
Yeah, like the number that I have in my phone for that Ludlow thing is 24639. But I wonder how it runs and if we could pay so that it doesn't, I mean, I see what you're saying about robocalls because we want to use those and not inundate people so that they
Don't
become
listen anymore.
desensitized to it. But if this was something that's a reasonable price that we could have one as well, and then people could sign into it. I mean, this is helpful. And they do a once a month, like, check so that you're like, oh yeah, I still have that thing and it's good. So.
And sometimes it's phone calls, right? And then it's an email too.
Oh, I only ever get emails, but I might click
Put
something.
my phone number on it.
Yeah.
Oh, what I can do is I forgot I can annoy everybody with text messages.
Yeah.
That's actually, I gotta remember I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think that's what people might be more apt to read. Yeah.
Yeah, but your text messages probably only go to people in schools.
Only the schools, and the only other problem with them is that it's a very limited number of characters.
Right.
So,
But I wonder what this is, and if we could get the same program and people could, I mean, I don't think the town's gonna want us telling everybody to vote on theirs, but if we did the same thing and it was.
yeah, well, maybe we can swap services, you know, if they need me to get stuff out.
Yeah.
It's beneficial for them. Yeah.
Yes, the bump and whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
I could also use the sign that they put out when there's like a ham dinner or like voting today.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have I have a question before, if that's it for superintendent's report.
This is part of it, but
Okay. This has, I don't think this has anything to do with that. I just wanted, before we move on, ask about the tech director position. So I did see that that's posted online.
should be starting in.
It's filled.
Yeah.
It's filled already?
Well, it's been open for quite a few months.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess I wasn't aware of that. So I'm just not, I wanted to see how the board felt about, I don't know that that's really a full-time position. I'm not convinced that there's enough day-to-day responsibility for that to be a full-time position.
1,000 kids, each with their own computer, hundreds of different software.
It's not a Ludlow-Mount Holly position, it's a CRS position. So it's for the whole Green Mountain and Ludlow-Mount Holly.
But help me understand like the day-to-day responsibilities of that position. Like I understand that there's like annual data reporting and like annual contracts, but like for a full-time position, what are the day-to-day responsibilities?
So there's basically three people. Like I said, you've got a one-to-one system within the school district. You've got the computers that all the kids have that need to be set up, that need to be properly monitored, that need the security. You've got the hundreds of different software applications that the teachers use in terms of connecting with the kids. So there's the business contacts and the oversight there. There's the oversight of the department itself. And then there's the major piece, which is ongoing, which is the data transmissions to the state and the ongoing communications with them, because the state doesn't have a unified system for doing things. So it is a pretty major position. We talked an awful lot. We spent time trying to decide if we wanted to do that, replace that position, if we could get away with it. And the deeper the conversations got, especially with the other folks in the tech department, they really felt that it was needed.
And it's not something, because it seems like been getting by having the curriculum director take those responsibilities on. It's not something that can be like,
Is the keyword.
right, but it's
That
not.
position also works with the E-rate, in which we get 80% off of our internet costs because of the grants that are filled out through the government, and that is a lot of work. Then we get level 2 work, so we get another like 285,000 in equipment through that grant over a 5-year period.
And
Right.
that position is responsible for that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, because it's come up before, in terms of the central office, remember that you are already getting an immense benefit. Not having to have your own central office. You have one central office doing the full work of 2 districts and 3 boards. We are at capacity. We were talking about it. I typically put in well over 60 hours by Thursday, every week. You can cut it, but you're going to start failing in terms of the responsibilities we have in terms of meeting the regulations and the oversight that we have. Could we get by with it? Yeah. But again, you're getting to the point in the cuts, and that's going to be the problem with Act 73 overall, is that the cuts are going to start hitting the point where you're going to start to negatively impact the ability for districts and schools to be able to carry out their educational functions. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering if it could be a part-time position or.
If we did offer that as a possibility with the new person, so if that's a decision that they decide, we can try it. That was how the position was posted. Was the ability for potentially for part-time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I have a similar question in regards to the substitute teacher coordinator.
So that's a whole different,
position.
that's a stipended position.
Okay, so
So what used to happen in the district is you had a substitute coordinator for each school. So basically the stipends for those have been compiled into one. Because we had trouble maintaining personnel to provide that function, we switched over to an automated system, something that the tech director would oversee. But there still needs to be a bot that checks in on the day-to-day kind of components of it. But it's primarily an automated system for the most part. The teachers literally can go in, they say that they're going to be out, they say what they need. There's a message alert that goes off on the subs that are signed up on our list, and they literally can try to sign up right then and there. But you still need somebody to fill in the spots when we don't have enough subs, which we don't.
right, so that is a stipend, not a
That's
position.
right. Yeah.
So a current person could take a stipend to do.
We currently have, each building has a stipend person to do it. We'll only become one person to do it for the whole
As
district.
district kind of consolidate.
So is that necessary, or is it working with each building having a stipend?
Depends on who you ask. Some people aren't letting the system work. It just causes some other issues.
So you're consolidated. It's gonna be one, okay, so that's awesome.
A little bit. Now when we get to the budget, there was an administrative assistant that left due to health reasons that, we did not replace. So that, again, there's more work that's been redistributed amongst the people that are there within the department. So there is some of that, but there are some savings, even if you cut central office, you're going to be enough to solve the problems of the districts. You're going to be another exit. No matter what happens, unfortunately. I don't know, other question? So special education, I as part of the superintendent's report, there was this was kind of brought up at the last meeting. I don't think it was the open forum. I think it was the actual board meeting. Gentleman had said that, hey, we were supposed to get a report out on, how the changes to the special education rules that happened a couple of years ago, what the impact that was going to be. And I believe the statement was they thought that it was going to reduce the number of folks that were eligible. Well, that's not what the law was designed to do, and we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. This is a very broad general overview. I haven't thought about this in detail since the rule changes happened back in 2023.
Just step in for a second. I think because I got thinking about this after the meeting, I think part of what was said, and I didn't go back and look, but that the new rules were coming in, and with each student who's on an IEP and they get their 3-year evaluation, the new rules would start to take effect for those. And the hope was that with those rules, some of those students would not qualify for not that it's the hope that they don't qualify for services, but from a budget standpoint, that the services would change and be different and it would help us. I don't know how that's panned out.
So what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about the impact of the act itself. But also, we've been starting to take a look at our own special education department. The first area that we're looking at is the students that are sent out to outplacements, and I'll present a little data around that as well, and some of the questions that brings up that we should answer, and also might point us in a direction where we can do better by kids while also saving money. So Act 173, which is kind of funny because we've got Act 173 that we're dealing with in redistricting, but Act 173 of 2018 required the Agency of Education to revise Vermont special education rules. What they did is they took a look at the federal law, the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act, and said, hey, how we are doing things and in terms of allowing students access to IEP services, our definitions are a little narrow compared to that federal law. And so this was not meant to, these changes weren't meant to actually restrict things. They were saying that Vermont was already being too restrictive, so we are going to open up a little bit more and allow other avenues for students to be found eligible for IEP services. So you're right, directly from it, the goal of that act was to improve access to services, not limit it. Prior to the rule change, to qualify for services, for the most part, students had to demonstrate clear academic deficits compared to peers. And in Vermont, I believe, I don't want to confuse this with Massachusetts, that was basically academic performance had to be in the bottom 15th percentile to be able to qualify. After the rule change that came about because this act, they added this other way for students to be able to access or become eligible for IEP services. And that was through this functional performance pathway. So you could have students that were performing very well academically, but if they were performing poorly in terms of this functional performance definition, they could now have access. They were now eligible for IEP.
What does that mean, functional performance?
Skills a student needs to navigate the routines, expectations, and social emotional demands of school life that are not strictly academic. Now, there's a whole list of them. I picked these for a very important reason, right? So some of the reasons that, you could be doing really well academically, but if you're performing poorly in these areas, could be found eligible for IEP services. So look at the ones that are up there. Emotional regulation, coping skills, peer interactions, frustration tolerance, impulse control, and self-care. What did they just put on the schools to provide students? That all the mental health work that should be provided by mental health providers. So they opened up the doors quite a bit. The students need the services, so I'm not complaining about providing them because we care about kids. But again, this is another area where, the schools are being asked to do more and more of what the state should be providing in other areas. So
is it illegal to partner with an organization like Rutland Mental Health to provide these services?
No, if that's what's required. But a lot of times what happens, and we're going to touch on that as we get towards the end with the outplacements, students, especially in these areas, their needs are so specialized that you need a specialist to be able to work with them that we can't do ourselves. And that's the reason that, frequently we send students out, right? We'd love to do it. We'd love to do it here if we could, not just because it's cost effective, but lots of times it's better for the kids to be in their home environment as much as possible. That's the expectation under the law. But sometimes the things that they need to deal with these issues is very specialized, and we just don't have the skill sets to be able to provide them internally. It's a good question.
What about training?
Well, let's see the ones and we kind of connect with this a little bit. And this goes to the BOCES, the training piece will connect on the BOCES piece. I can hit on that a little bit. But what we saw because of the opening up in terms of that functional performance piece in these realms was that we had a huge increase in the number of students with autism that are now being served. Emotional disability has jumped incredibly, since this change. And then a lot more students receiving additional support for ADHD. Again, students that might be performing very well academically and accessing the curriculum perfectly well. But because they don't have those functional skills that other kids have, it's now our job to make sure that they develop those as well. So in general, compared to other states, and so we talk an awful lot about, these surges and these increases in special education year after year. It's because legislatively we're having that demand placed upon us. That's the expectation. But compared to other states, Vermont serves a larger than average percentage of students under the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act. And we are in one of the higher identification tiers nationally. We're probably, if you look at the states across the board, we're probably in the top 5 in terms of the number of students that we choose to serve under IDEA. The requirements.
And that's Vermont as a state. Essentially.
So when you're seeing these surges, I know, from a local standpoint, it's like, that 14% increase to special education, year after year, which is typical across the state. A lot of it is due to, what the legislatures are telling us we have to do. Just like the tax rate increases, right? Universal free meals, the weighting study and the impact of that. The legislators added $500 million to the education fund needs through those 2 acts alone. And so a lot of what you're experiencing isn't really what the schools are doing so much. It's what the legislation is requiring us to do. So what we're looking at right now, there's 4 or 5 different things in terms of this study about special education across the TRSU. And the first thing that we're taking a look at is the students that are sent to outplacements. And again, it's this idea that, why we send students there? Well, their needs are at a level that we either cannot manage them within our environment, or their needs are so specialized, we need to get them to somebody who has the special skills to be able to work with them directly. And so hopefully as we go through this is going to generate some questions that people may have, and I want you actually to voice those questions as we go through, because it'll add to the things that we're looking at as part of the analysis. So across both districts, across TRSU, there are 27 students that are in outplacement. The tuition cost is $1.7 million for those students to be in those placements, and it costs an additional $667,000 for the transportation back and forth every day. So that's a total of $2.4 million. What's your overall budget for Ludlow-Mount Holland?
10 million.
10.4? Yeah. So,
we pay roughly a third of the 2.4,
okay.
Right?
But just throwing it out there by comparison, it is a large amount of money to be able to provide.
Is that reimbursable by Medicare, Medicaid, whichever?
Once you get to a certain level, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if they still call it circuit breaker anymore, but they've changed the reimbursement levels too over the last couple of years.
I think it's one that's over like 68,000, then we can get reimbursed, and it's a higher reimbursement.
Yeah.
Are any of those outplacements, maybe saying this in
It's okay.
Only, are they because of therapeutic needs versus are any of them going to be outplacements due to a regional program they could go to versus a placement? It's out of district, but it's another school district is doing a program that they could
ODP would be the
check.
only one.
Yeah.
ODP.
If I remember the 27, if off the cuff, I think there's about 8 that go to ODP.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at with my question about partnering with Rutland Mental Health.
Yeah.
And if this is a statewide problem, then other districts are also having this problem. So maybe it's worth coming together with some neighboring
And that's what this
That's what-
lead council is.
That's what the BOCES are, of which we joined and are a part. We were actually, our BOCES group is the first one that was approved by the state of Vermont just a week ago. And so that's the districts who come together and say, hey, you know, we have these needs, but I don't need, even if we could get that specialized person, I don't need them all day long, you know, full time. So can we find a location where all of us districts that are part of this BOCES group, you know, we put in a little money to fund the facility and put in a little money to fund the specialists so that we can all share them. And so there's a savings there because of that collaboration. And so we're at the very beginning of that development as part of the BOCES group.
Good. As Katie, to also answer your question, that there's a lot of school districts that buy into like HRS or Rutland Mental Health, and people come into schools from those places that they're contracted, and the schools pay for that. It's not limited to the mental health, but there's other, you know, subcontractors that come in and do different services. A lot of those services at the moment are also being offered as online services. So if kids need a certain level of like a speech therapist or a reading specialist or something that schools can't hire for, you know, lack of having somebody there to do the job, they're able to zoom in with kids, but then that requires supervision of, so it's like a weird, but I think it's happening a lot. I just think it's different needs in every district because there's different kids and they need different things.
If you had, just to save on transportation costs, for example, if you could do some of this stuff via telehealth, then could you have like a para in the room, or does it have to be a special education teacher?
No, I mean, it depends on what it would be, but I think most of a lot of the kids who are placed out for like full day services are in this category, and the other people who are coming in are saving us from sending more kids out. So we have people who are supplying, you know, like behavioral interventionists come from mental health side, and they're in our schools and we're paying their contract. Whereas if we didn't have that opportunity, those students might very likely be sent out and cost more than what we're paying.
Right.
So a lot of that is happening, and it's actually saving us money versus having to send kids out to these more expensive programs and pay transportation.
Right.
One of the things that you don't see, which will be a part of this portion of the study in TRSU, is we do have 3 programs within the district where the kids have been brought back. So you see a cost to that because we have to provide the personnel, right? You know, it might be a $250,000 in personnel to bring kids back that are in a specific category of disability that we're working with. But what you don't see is the fact that, yeah, it's costing us $230,000, but if we had to send them out, it'd be $1.2 million. And so the hope is that, you know, probably by the next month, I'll be able to come in and tell you what the savings are. Right?
Hey.
Yeah. So you've got an autism program in this building. You've got 2 programs that are over at Green Mountain Union High School right now that are bringing kids back from the more expensive placements to try to provide them with the specialized services. The problem with those programs is, again, you've got to have specialized people to run them, and they just don't exist in the state, which is why they do a lot of telehealth. The only way that they can get some of those services is, you know, they got to rely on, you know, folks from Texas and larger states that, you know, can supply the services.
Burnout is also an issue.
Yeah.
In those programs.
Yeah.
You accept people in the Ludlow autism program from Cavendish?
Yes. It's a district program, so anybody within.
Right.
River Super.
That's what I was wondering.
But we do have 2 students that are in the district.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. That's what I was wondering.
So we had the Raven program at OSSC because I already did the study there. That was for students with emotional disability at the middle and the high school level. You know, they served 14 kids a year. 3 of them typically were ours. The rest were, you know, they were paying tuition from the outside. Our tuition was $23,000. Had those kids been in an outplacement relative to their disability, it would have been anywhere from $63 to $120, not including transportation. So, you know, when you do build those things if you can get the right people for it. That was a beautiful program. The gentleman who oversaw it was wonderful, but when he retired, it died because we couldn't get some specialized skills that he had to continue to run it. So
What's the temperature of the MTSS here?
they are in the midst of doing a whole revamp of it. I can't think of the lady's name who's been coming in, kind of helping them modify. I mean, Craig and Jed can probably speak a little bit more to it because they've been doing direct work with them. But that's been a focus.
With Audrey Richardson.
Yeah.
And, we have a more robust academic intervention MTSS system than we do on the behavioral side of things. And I think in any system, that's the lack. That's where the lack is, because, we don't have a full-time school counselor. We don't have a full-time school-based clinician. We have here at Ludlow a math intervention group and a reading intervention group, each are a half an hour. And if we were going to do a social emotional intervention groups, that would be another half hour. And then what do we take from,
Right.
Where's that handoff? And of course, we know that if we don't meet those social emotional needs, you're not going to access
The academic.
the academics. So but again, we don't have the necessary personnel skilled enough to go into all of our classrooms.
And there is some argument, some good argument in terms of Act 173 with the, economy of scale. In the bigger schools and the bigger districts, it's not unusual, assuming you can find them in the state. I had a high school of 1,600 kids. We had two school psychologists that came in. They did most of the evaluations and testing, which we have to contract out, which is incredibly expensive. But they also would run group therapy sessions for students with similar disabilities and similar needs, eating disorders, social pragmatics for students with autism, things like that. But
when do you expect, what school year do you expect to see the savings for the BOCES agreements? Because that sounds like that's a couple of years out, right?
yes, and it's also going to depend on the ability to get the specialists that we need. And so I had hesitation. I think the first time I kind of talked about it with the board, and one of the reasons I was having in Holland, I'm not convinced they're going to be able to get the personnel for it. It's a good model. It works very well. Massachusetts thrived on its cooperatives that were based upon the same system, and they worked wonderfully, but they had access to the people that you needed. One of the problems, and we'll talk a little bit about this when we get to the residency time of these students, is that they go off to these outplacements. And the outplacements, the people there are doing a good job, and they intend to do a good job, but they also don't have the specialized skills that kids need. They can do a better job than we can, but they still don't have everything they need to get the kids independent with the skills that they're going to develop.
But in a best case scenario, assuming you can stand it up or partially stand it up, when would that be a concrete savings? I guess
They could have it. They could probably this coming school year, they could get savings on the training side of things because trainers are easy, right? So when you talk about trying to bring in some of the training to help with this, we share the cost of the training, so the training becomes less expensive that way. So that's probably the easiest thing up front. But I would say having a good feel on whether or not they can get the right mix of personnel is probably 2 to 3 years out.
Okay.
But maybe wrong. I mean, they might be there, but if I were placing bets on it and playing the odds, I would say it's not going to happen. I can tell by the look on your face, you agree with me.
No, I'm not as optimistic as you are.
And this is the fence taking down because, less than an hour away, there's already individuals set up and doing that.
Yeah. We were part of that. That was the Southern Vermont Collaborative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's dissolving and turning into the BOCES. It's been absorbed.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that's what's going to happen. They're going to have to.
Yeah. And it's getting to that.
And we need people to be able to stay and live in our state.
Yeah.
In order and want to come here, and that's a whole.
That's the property tax piece. So,
I would
but
like to advocate and say that outplacement is not a bad thing.
no, it
Most of the families and the children that are in outplacements, that's their need. And
it serves its
forever
purpose.
need.
Yeah.
Versus thinking that all children can be in a regular public school. That's a challenge for many individuals, you know?
I'm sure outplacement, I mean, like everything, pros and cons, right? But sending someone to like me, for example, doesn't seem, I don't see the advantage to that, to the family, and that's.
Well, what's interesting is you're seeing the analogy that what happens with the outplacement students when we got to send them an hour and a half to get to these locations. That's what's going to happen directly, send them through. So when you start to consolidate the schools and so, and that'll be every student. So the breakdown in terms of the outplaced students by disability, the largest is emotional disturbance. Autism comes in second. Actually, the colors are off, but autism is second on there off thinking back to the graph. And again, I think a lot of that goes back to some of the things that we've talked about in previous meetings, but also the increase in eligibility due to the changes in the rules that happened in 2023. Outplacement by grade. And so here's why data is important, because you start to see patterns. You know, I don't want to word it this way as if there's something wrong, but what's wrong with that picture? Where the outplacement's happening?
We need more early intervention.
Yeah, it's like, okay, why aren't they being found earlier? You don't usually you see the opposite. You see a lot in the young grades, and then you see things go down over time. And so there's a question worthy of investigation right there.
But are you still using adverse effects?
Well, we've also brought in the functional piece now as well.
I know, but are you using 15% of them?
Not 15%.
Are you now failure to access service? Okay.
Can you go back to that a minute, Lane? The 11th and 12th graders, or at the higher end of that, is that include adult ed type Vermont Learning kids who are?
No, most of the ones at the high school level are in the emotional disturbance category.
But where are they outplaced to?
I'd have to pull up the chart too.
Well, Vermont Learning wouldn't be.
I didn't mean Vermont Learning. I meant, what do they call the other end of adult ed? There's something I can't remember off the top of my head.
Springfield?
It's
These are the ODP kids, aren't they?
They're in here, but what you're talking about wouldn't necessarily be a special ed placement.
right.
Yeah.
So, no,
So these are all just special ed outplacements, not including.
In places where they are receiving specialized services.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did that look like 3 years ago?
I actually don't have data 3 years ago on the outplacements. I do have data which I'll share at an upcoming meeting on overall placements in those categories. Right, so not just students that are outplaced, but students, in terms of autism and emotional disability that are being serviced in-house as well. Combined.
It would be interesting to know of the kids who are on that when they were initially outplaced. Yeah, I mean, so I know an 8th grader who's been outplaced since the 2nd grade, right? And in the 2nd grade, he absolutely, definitely needed it. And by 7th and 8th, it was to me more marginal whether he still needed the outplacement or not.
So you're getting to the important conversation. And we'll hit it when we get down to the bottom there. So 78% of the outplaced students are at the high school, and the majority of them are diagnosed with emotional disturbance. Most were placed that are currently there in the fall and in September of 2023 or September of 2024, which means their residency time, the amount of time they're spending in these programs, it's at this point in time, it's somewhere between 1.5 and 2.5 years, and they haven't exited. So that's going to increase. And so to me, that's a problem. If you have a specific behavior or a few behaviors that are getting in your way of being able to access the curriculum in the regular school environment, when I'm paying 100,000, 200,000 for you to go off to a specialized school, that's what I expect you to work on. And I expect to see improvement, and I expect to see those kids back within my school in a reasonable amount of time, depending upon the severity of the discipline. It's not always going to be possible, but the difference in the model, that simple idea that, hey, yeah, the kid has all these things that we could work on with them about because they've got academic challenges too, but they're not going to get to the academic until the behavior is taken care of. Focus on the behavior things. We're going to check in 45 days and see that there is improvement happening. And if there's not, then we're going to look for other accommodations elsewhere because you're not getting us where we need to go. And so that's a piece, I think, and I'll know a little bit more about the investigation, that's not happening and typically doesn't happen in most schools, is once they go, nobody checks in to see how well they're improving or how quickly, or that there is a clear goal and a clear expectation with the service provider that, yeah, the intent is for you to help the kid develop the skills so that we can get them back.
Are any of the outplacements inclusive or are they exclusive? Because how can you work on something with
I'm not sure what you mean by.
all individuals with disability together?
That's typically what.
So they're not finding a way to work on how to be a social system.
And again, it's not, I don't want to overly criticize the folks that work in those groups. One, I don't think, and this was true in Massachusetts, people didn't have that clear goal when you sent a kid to outplacement. Two, you've got really good people in these places, just like we do here. But if you don't have the skill set or access to that skill set, you're not going to be able to make those improvements. But the goal of an IEP or working with kids is that you try the accommodations, you try to get them to develop those skills. And if what you're trying doesn't work, it's research-based. If it doesn't work, the data says it's not working, we do something else, we try something.
Yes, the particular boy I was talking about is consistent with what you're saying, that the place he was sent has done an excellent job dealing with emotional issues and helping him learn how to control and deal with that. And is not so strong on his educational performance. That's not their focus. I mean,
we're strong on the educational piece. So if we can get the emotional piece out of the way, get that taken care of, and get the students so that they can self-regulate, that's when they should be back.
Right. So he probably should have come back a couple of years ago, and the school could have helped him more on the academic side.
Not disagreeing. So a part of the reason to do the dive into the data is to be able to start asking these questions and come up with some hypotheses and check it out and see if they're correct or not. And if they are, it might point us in a direction that might help. And again, the goal isn't to save money. The goal is to get the kids to develop independence so they come off the IEP. So the indirect goal is that we'll save money. The direct goal is that we want a better student.
But also to build your MTSS system so that you got some wide range in your classrooms that you somehow catch that, whether building milieu.
What is that acronym? MTS.
Multi-tiered system of supports, or MLSS, or RTI, or the 50 other.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing, but it's changed its name.
Gotcha.
And I'm assuming you're at RTI.
It's all
That's where you're at.
well, that's the same as the MTSS. That's just a new name that you put on it. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, just two questions. One, who determines that they need to go? And then the second one, going to what you were commenting on, where you outplace them, what's their incentive to return them?
Exactly.
In other words, where's, going back to your comment, where is your incentive to take them off the program? Because you're paying for having the kid there. And if you reduce it by 2 kids, their cost per child, they have to charge more.
Yeah. The reason, like I said, for taking a look at this is because it gets to those questions. most likely what is happening is what we just talked about. The kids are sent off to get services, but they're not checked in on to make sure that they're making progress. And there hasn't been a clear enough demand for what the progress needs to do. And that's a protocol change. In Massachusetts, when I set this up, they had a 45-day protocol where every 45 days you have a full meeting with the student that's in the outplacement to see if and when there's been progress and what's changed. And, if you get to one of those 45-day meetings and it hasn't been changing the way that it should, it's time to consider something else. Because that's how an IEP is supposed to work. You try things. If you see improvement, you stick with it. If you don't see improvement, you change what you're doing. You try something.
Right, but then you go back to where I get my comment was from the budget like 2 years ago, when you were going to review every 3 years the IEP to see if they were still valid.
Oh, they have.
In other words, at what point bring them back?
When
how do you determine that, and where's the incentive to where you're sending the child to have them come back?
No, because they're gonna get pulled anyway if they're not showing improvement. They're gonna be put right, because we have a responsibility. Again, if what they are doing with the child is not creating improvement, we have a responsibility to go back and revisit and come up with a different strategy that might. Right.
So I think this.
I might be missing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is what you're getting at. So every year, a student, any student, all students on an IEP, it gets reviewed and the IEP gets updated and progress gets noted. Progress is noted several times throughout the year, but on goals, and then a new IEP is generally written. And then at the end of 3 years, a new evaluation takes place. So a student has new testing and it's determined based on the state regs, at a full meeting with all of the stakeholders, the least restrictive environment is determined. There's, usually principals are there and people are deciding, as special ed coordinator, directors are all deciding that the student is still eligible and meets that eligibility requirement. A student who would be in an outplacement would have that same process because they are on an IEP. I think one of the differences is those IEP meetings have to have a homeschool representative at the meeting, but most of the people at that meeting would come from the school where the student is. I think the incentive to send them back is often that school usually has a program that's sort of lined out. Kids will come in and they'll meet some progress. They'll be on a behavior chart and they'll get so many stickers and then that'll translate to something. And eventually they move out. I think what happens is no kid is perfect. No kid is going to make 100% progress and kids need to come back at 85% progress, or when they can have, 90% good days or something like that. And we get in this mode of like, they need to be 100%. And I think that's a dilemma, but also there is an incentive, I think, to move kids out of the program because at the moment, I think every one of those programs has a waiting list. So it's not like they're not going to fill that spot almost immediately. But I think I think for some families, there's a lot of comfort in this is the first time my kid has been successful. Home is easier. I don't care that they have to ride an hour to school because they come home and they're happy. And this is the first time I can sort of let my guard down. And so I think there's a lot of emotional baggage that goes with the placement negatively at first, like you're not going to send my kids away, and there's that feeling. And then once they get there and things are going well and things are improving, it's really scary to come back. And so I think there's a lot of things at play in any IEP placement, whether it's even in our schools or in an outplacement.
Well, did I totally make this up, or Deb, were you talking at one point about a program where a student who was in an outplacement program got to come back into the regular classroom for like a trial period and then kind of go back and forth?
With the program that we house here at Ludlow, they are able to integrate when they're ready, even if it's for a short amount of time. So they start to push in and or they participate in a field trip or like a low stakes area. But yes, the intent behind the program is to do just that, is to have them push back in and integrate back in.
That seems so much better than just having them gone for a year.
That's why they gotta come back.
Throwing them back in.
They gotta practice the skills.
Yeah.
Right, see, the fundamental shift, at least from my experience in terms of special education, is you've got wonderful people helping kids. They are helping kids access the curriculum. What they need to be doing is a strong focus on helping kids develop the independent skills so they can do it for themselves.
Okay.
And it's such a minor thing, but it makes all the difference in the world. You know, the kid is coming in, you know, they have an accommodation to be able to help them meet their math goals, but who is doing the work of providing the accommodation? In many cases, it's the special education teacher, which makes sense. But there has to be a way, a part of the program where the responsibility for using that accommodation is slowly scaffolded over onto the child. And that's the bigger piece that we'll be looking at when we look at the general population that we have here. Is that our goal and is that our mission? You know, we're not going to get every child there, but over the course of time, if that's our focus, we should be seeing more students coming off IEPs, and students that are on IEPs should be needing less intensive services over time.
Do we have the option, like with the program here that Deb just talked about, do we have that option with any of the other outplacement programs where they, instead of going 5 days a week, you could go 1 or 2?
If they're an hour and a half away, it's kind of tough to do. Typically what you like to do, I would say, yes, it's probably possible. I don't think it would be ideal. When you have the program here, you have the opportunity, right? We're talking about the students developing a skill that's independent.
Mm-hmm.
They get the opportunity to go practice it, and when they fail, and they will up front, that's just how it works. They have an opportunity to retreat back and get the support that they need from the providers here to go out and try it again. This is how we're going to tweak it. Let's go try it again.
Mm-hmm.
And they get to the point where they can build that skill. And when they're successful in one class for the entire period, then we start to work on having them in 2 classes for the entire period.
Yeah.
And so you get that slow scaffolding and development of skills over time.
And I think oftentimes reentry will be like that from even a program that's an hour and a half away, but it can't be on a day-to-day basis. And like the kid can't get to school and be like, today's just not feeling like the day, because it's a plan, and it can't be every other day because it just doesn't work. I mean, I worked in an outplacement program for 27 years. So there's ways to do it, but it's usually at the end when the kids are starting to get ready and they're coming for an amount of time every day, half an hour, or for specials or for something, and it's planned in. But to say a kid only needs services every other day, kids aren't disabled every other day. Unfortunately, they're that way all day, every day. And so that needs to.
But you're getting yourselves back to the economy of scale argument. In a larger school where you can have your own programs and be able to afford them internally, you have that option of, right, we've got the specialists here, we can afford them, it's more cost effective to have the specialists. We run the program here, and because they're already in our schools, we have the ability to let them go out, practice their skills, and come back, retreat when they need to, and go back and fight that battle again, the next day.
And it becomes about a whole school building versus just going to enter music or lunch or whatever. It becomes the whole school building has to have a milieu, like a PBIS model and all of those things to make it work. I mean, sometimes you're taking the children out of a system that's working for them. So when you come to evaluate them, they may be successful because of where they are. Then you take them out of where they are, you're taking away those supports to come back to a system that doesn't have all those hands on deck. So one of my questions is, do you have data on, of those IEPs, how many happen to be in state custody? And are you using
It's easy enough to find. But
yeah. Are you using wraparound services? And then I don't know enough about your buildings again, still. about any of the proactive things, like the behavioral systems and do you know what I mean? That are
They're TDIS, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just in consultation from Beth and all of those things.
Most of them are.
Well, no, yeah, so even though we're not a PBIS school, we do a lot of the same types of things that PBIS schools do.
I just want to, it is 7:12. I don't want to be the timekeeper, but I want to be the timekeeper. And I don't mind continuing this conversation as long as everybody realizes we haven't even talked about a budget yet.
You are the facilitator, so I'll hit the other couple things really quick. You've got the curriculum report, the written reports in there. She does a pretty good job of kind of spelling stuff out. The biggest thing to recognize is that we've got state testing coming up in March. Remember that they moved it, they had it so that it happens a month earlier than it used to happen before. Facilities report, the paperwork is in there for that as well.
That is online.
Oh, Todd is here.
You want to talk about the roof though, so that's not.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to do it as both. Have a conversation about it, and then at the end of the budget, when we get done talking about surplus and whatnot, if the board decides to make a decision on it. Todd, you there?
Yes, sir.
You're up.
Actually, I was just, because of the length of the meeting, I was going to pass and we're just going to talk about the roof. So I'll wait whenever you want to put that in.
I would talk about the roof now. The goal would be when we get to the end of the budget discussion. That's when, after they have an idea of what the numbers and things are that they're looking at, they'd be able to make a more informed decision of, yes, we want to run forward with it, or no, we don't. Oh.
Okay. I have all the information that they need. So just let me know. I'll hang around.
Up to you. What's your?
No, he's here. Why don't
Yeah, but we were gonna make a decision after you talk about the budget.
Right. I think, do you want to give us the information and then we'll have it for when we talk about the budget, or you're okay to hang out?
Whatever your pleasure is. I'm okay.
How long do you want to hang out for?
Why don't you just give us the information and then we'll.
Okay. So we put it out to bid per the board's request, for a partial, roof replacement around 8,000 square feet, and for a total replacement for roughly 22,000 square feet. We ended up with 2 bids and we exceeded it and got a third bid. So it could be very competitive, and, we can make it, I think the board can make an easier decision. So do you guys have the bids in your packet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You know, all the years that I've done this, and when we get bids, it always worries me when one is so much less than the others. So obviously we have one that is substantially less than the other two. Doing a little research, it seems like they're all fairly respectable. I will say Vermont Roofing has done work for the TRSU on multiple occasions at Ludlow Elementary and at Chester Andover. So they are no stranger to our system and our school, our supervisory union. So they came in right in the middle, and Jansowitz came in, very in-depth proposal, and they were the highest bidder. So I guess the board would need to decide whether they want to do a partial or a full replacement, and then decide which company, if they decide to do it at all, which company they want to go with.
Do we know the figures?
Can you say more about the company that came in with a very low bid? And whether, have you, for example, been able to check, have they done other commercial work? And then have you checked with the people they did the work for?
No, I haven't done the check, David, only because if you spent all your time calling references for somebody you don't even know if is going to receive the bid or not, that's, it's enough lower that it's concerning. It's concerning that it's that much less. I can go through the prices. I mean, total roofing, the partial was 49,900, so roughly 50,000. Full roof replacement was 131,600.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm looking at it both ways. It's for the whole roof, it's basically $100,000 less, again, which makes you wonder whether they can really do it. But on the other hand, it's $100,000 that if they do it for that amount, right, then next year, we'll have $100,000 more in our reserve, in our capital reserve, and we won't have to be.
Assuming they did a good job with it. And
Right. I mean, that's the question, is whether we can whether it's possible to become more comfortable, with their task work and abilities, or if it's not possible, then we have to go with the middle bid.
Jamie looked at their online reviews on Facebook and other places, and they were
real quick, but then different reviews, it sounds like they have many years of experience.
Can you talk, Todd, about your recommendation, related to the full versus the partial?
So this is partly personal and partly, I think, economic or financially sound. I just don't believe in doing a partial. I think you're setting yourself up for, you're going to do a partial roof replacement, and then we're almost passing the buck down the road to, another board in another 5 years, 10 years. Maybe not even that long, and it's never going to be as cheap as it is right now, ever. So I would, from looking at these prices, if the funding is available and if the board decides they were going to do it, I would seriously consider doing the full roof replacement instead of taking the chance of doing a partial and then coming back at another time at a higher price again and doing the rest of it. And then it just doesn't seem like the right thing to do.
Is the whole roof on that building the same age, or are there newer sections? Same age. Okay. And how old is the roof?
Oh, that'd be a question for Craig.
I believe it's 22 years. This is my 22nd year, and they had finished it the summer before I started.
Okay. Thank you.
But also to clarify, there are currently no leaks. There's no dire need. It's old.
That's not entirely true. The roof is leaking again in a couple places. Yeah.
Where are the leaks? Because last meeting there were no leaks.
Yeah. Since we've had weather, there's been a couple of leaks that I think, did Vermont Roofing come back and look at it, Craig?
Yeah, and with the weather we've had, it's come and gone. So we had a little ice damming.
Is the roof being raked?
Yeah.
Yep. So what happened over the years on where we're talking about the partial roof replacement is it's just the venting wasn't done properly when the original roof was put on, and it's waved and shingles have all shifted and moved, and it's beyond its useful life on that side of the roof. It's not quite as bad on the other side, but.
And that's on the back side of the cafeteria, right? Correct.
Yep.
Actually, God, I hate to throw this one in there now that my brain's working again. This is for a shingle replacement, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Is there any benefit to considering a metal?
So I asked all three, well, actually 2 out of the 3 contractors, and they said if funding is an issue, you don't even want to think about putting metal on.
Mm-hmm. People have questions, because we'll talk about it during the budget, but
I just like to say, we've had these bids for a little while, so we either do yes or no.
Right.
We can't kick the can down.
It's out of reserves, right? Sure.
And when would the work happen? This summer?
Yep. Well, I shouldn't say all 3. Actually, I can say all three. All three were prepared to start either early spring. Vermont Roofing actually said they would think seriously about starting before that, late winter.
While the kids are still in school?
That's what they said. They said they've done it before.
Do they do it after?
When they do it, they have agreements that we can fix our roof line at its worst way. Okay, so do people feel like they have what they're thinking from Todd so that when we talk about budget?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other facilities update, Todd?
No, we're all good.
Perfect.
Yep. So do you want me to hang around and talk about this after, or?
I feel like that's all the information we need from you.
I mean, I think it's
in that
I think,
perspective.
yeah, I think it would be just about money at this point.
I'll call you.
Maybe, great, if Elaine, have your phone number and a question comes.
So I don't know what's going on in Ludlow, but in Chester right now, I think half of Chester, if you have Verizon, you either have service or you have none. You have SOS. So right now in my office, let me see. Okay, I have 2 bars, but that hasn't been that way for, half the day. So hopefully still have.
They were saying there was a national outage.
Yeah. Cheryl.
Okay, so I sent everybody a link yesterday to a Beehive forum. Everybody got it?
I don't think I did.
I missed.
I did not.
I feel like I did. I figured you were going to talk to us about it, so I didn't really pay.
Well, you have to register for it.
You're on there.
So it's
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So it's a
Okay.
forum to talk about how they set the rates and how the program works, because it's a self-insured plan that all the school districts use. So it's just kind of a good educational thing for everybody to get a little more information on. If you didn't get the link or you need it, let me know. I can resend it to you. Financials are in the folder for December. We're halfway through the year and we're less than 50% on the percentage spent. The only note I think that I had this time was we lease equipment. The computers we do a refresh every 3 to 4 years. And we use the saleable equipment. So when we're done with the lease life cycle, we sell the computers back. And we use that money to buy the computers that we released to afford. But not all of it, we put it toward it. And so you'll see a deficit line there in the offsetting revenues. Questions on the financials? Okay. You gonna do budget?
We
skipped over the principal reports.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
I mean, you have them. What is the?
I mean, if there's any questions that, talk about?
I only have a comment that in addition to the regular report, we saw your draft annual report. And I thought they were both excellent reports, but it would be better if they were more closely aligned. I'm just a small example. One of them schools showed the current year enrollment and the other one showed the projected enrollment, right? And you talked about test scores, and it was just, again, they were both good presentations. I'm thinking if the two of you would sit down with your 2 annual reports, since they're going to be published in a book right next to each other, if they were a little more similar, I think it would be a plus.
Yeah, I saw the enrollment for both.
Mount Holly.
Okay, no, it's in the report to us, but I think not in the annual report.
So are you talking about our current, so in the annual report, I have our current enrollment for 2025-26, and then in my monthly principals report, board report, I have current enrollment as of January and then anticipated for next.
Okay, no, whereas in Craig's annual report ones, he has the projected enrollment, but not the current enrollment.
Well, I have both, because at this writing, we have 94 students.
Okay, that's right, the total, but the grade by grade, right? My only comment was if the two of you would spend 10 or 15 minutes putting your two reports next to each other, and just seeing, if there was easy ways you could. If we both talked about test scores, right?
What kind of test scores?
Right, but in different ways, right? And no, to me, again, it's not a big deal, but if they were, since they're being put in the same book right next to each other, people would read about one school and then say, oh, it doesn't say, answer that question at the other school.
Not in this session.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not in this session. Yes, thank you. Sorry. I know, it's like anxiety producing, that's why I'm like, because then you get 20 kids that run into it. Are they both in the same book? Because Ludlow has a book and Mount Holly has a book, or do we have one?
Yeah.
There's no book anymore. No, there's a book.
But it's different
It's one book. Okay, I know. I was like,
Well, Ludlow people get the Ludlow book and then Mount Holly.
no.
No, there's
No,
one.
it's one. It's one book. It's one.
Right.
But I mean.
Right. No,
There's-
we get a town book, each get a town book, but then a school book.
I
So
think it's
there's,
town book.
no, they're separate, right?
There's, why do we have to do that?
Yeah.
We put it online.
For a different generation of people.
Yeah.
I think it may be required in statute. but they-
And people like their books. It turned into a huge thing last year when books were wrong and people love their books.
Hate the books.
I do have something to say, just looking at both the Ludlow and Mount Holly, looking at the shared positions, like a librarian if for Ludlow, and then Mount Holly is library and French. Is that offered in Ludlow as well?
No, and we tried to bring that over this year, but when contracts or letters of intent were issued, it had already been stated that she was 3 days in Mount Holly and 2 days at Ludlow. We didn't catch it quick enough. So hopefully next year we'll be able to move forward.
My kids actively ask for language. So we also
Maybe he wants to learn French so long.
But like last year, to this point, when you talked about the shared people, you presented it in two different ways, and it was difficult to try and figure out who was who in the zoo.
Gotcha. We appreciate the feedback.
I'm just talking about this year. I don't know about that. I'm talking about last year.
Yeah, and I wonder too, because we get, if not a, well, kind of a directive from Lane to have them done and submitted to him by January 6th. So typically what we do is we write them over break and, Craig's with his family, I'm with my family, and then, they're due when we come back, and then we don't ever have that time.
We can look at them now and align it a little bit more closely for next year.
You can update them. They don't, usually they publishers want them as early as possible. I can't even do my report until both boards have voted on their budgets.
Oh, so we could still.
Yeah, so my stuff will be done, probably middle of next week, assuming that you guys vote on your budget tonight and read out this tomorrow night.
So Craig and I, we have an elementary principals meeting tomorrow. He and I will set a time to go through and we'll make some alignments.
Yeah.
Are there any other alignments that you guys saw that you want us to address or misalign?
I think just one of them I noticed too is just the name wise, that with Devin Alberti and Devin Brown is the same.
Oh, that's
That's not a
That's fine.
confusion. That's another person,
No,
right?
it's Albert. That's my mistake.
Only that, on the Ludlow list, you divided your staff up by sort of functions.
Yep.
Right? Whereas on the Mount Holly list, it's one big list. The information's all there. It just makes it a little bit harder to go back and forth.
And see who's there.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it makes sense.
I know.
Sorry. Yeah, no, go ahead. Oh, I was asking. I only hear out of one ear. I don't know where it's coming from.
I just have a question. You both are serving 3 and 4 year olds?
Yes.
And is it true that universal preschool is technically 4?
Say that again, Ed?
You're serving 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds.
Yes, that's correct.
Universal preschool is necessary to only serve 4.
Correct.
So how many years have we, I know it's been a long time, been serving 3-year-olds as well? Because I'm just tossing that out there, that's where other districts are cutting right now, is their 3-year-olds.
And their special education costs after a couple of years, you're gonna go up as a result.
I'm just saying that's how they're reaching their budget.
Yeah.
But where we have one classroom in each building, I don't think that would really.
And it's 2 days?
Yeah.
Is it 2 days?
2 days and 3 days. We're hoping next year to, depending on where our numbers fall, we're hoping to have 5 days for both 3 and 4-year-olds.
The state, they have been, pushing the importance of the early education. The big issue with it right now is that, like if we have a student that's in 5th grade, we get a full allotment of funding for that student from the state. With the preschoolers, we get is 0.2 or 0.4. 2? Okay, 0.4. It's 0.4. The state was actually supposed to fix that for districts that were, willing to put on the full day preschool. So they've actually brought it up every year in the legislative session. They just haven't pulled the trigger.
Anything else on the principles that you guys want to highlight? All right.
Are you ready for the big one?
Sure. Why not?
It's good. It's good news, but it's good news for you.
7:30.
Before we do that, because apparently I really skipped things. Questions and comments from the open forum?
So that piece, that is in a document there for folks. We actually touched on that at the very beginning. We talked about the fact that we've got the next open forum on January 22nd. It's with those questions and comments that we'll keep that open forum on, so that they're not forgotten. Deb was kind enough to be able to pull those questions and comments off the chat during the first open forum back in December. Yep.
Thank you. All right.
All right.
And principal, then facilities and financial report. Now I think we're back caught up. Sorry, everybody.
If I stand up, it's just because it's to keep myself awake. The 26-27 budget. So this is what we are recommending to the board. Since the last time we met, we have been able to figure out a way around the excess spending problem. Again, it's a 1-year fix. And so I think that's important for people to realize that, the work in terms of getting a restructuring plan in place, should continue. So we'll also talk a little bit about where tax rates fall. And this is going to be a bitter story about common level of appraisal that's coming into play. So this is like the land acknowledgement. I do this at the start of every kind of budget discussion. This is the budget acknowledgement. Recognizing that in the state of Vermont, local control that you have is oversetting what your budget is. And at that point in time, your local control stops. You have no local control over what your tax rates are. Because the state of Vermont works on a system where all districts charge the state for the cost of running their schools. The state compiles those costs and then divides it equally amongst all taxpayers across the state of Vermont. So what you do locally, as long as you're under that excess spending threshold, has little or no impact on your tax rates. And so it's really important for people to realize this when we have these discussions. So kind of revisit where we were. A month or so ago when we were having this discussion, the big issue is that we were above the excess spending threshold. This year, excess spending threshold is $16,470 per student. As long as we stay below this, the money that funds our local school system comes from all taxpayers in Vermont. If we exceed that, we're in this excess spending tier, any money above that excess spending threshold comes only from local taxpayers. And not only that, the state says, well, if you're at that level, and it's coming from local taxpayers, we're going to charge you twice for it because you shouldn't be paying that much for educating kids. And so the problem that we had a month ago was if we kept everything the same from this year until next year in terms of programs, right? We're not adding staff, we're not reducing staff, we're just trying to keep our programs running the way that they are right now. That's where we would have been. And so the mad scramble was on to try to find a way to cut enough out of the budget to get us down so that we are here, right? We've got things back under control to the best of our ability. So the reductions that Cheryl was working on and came up with and were partially discussed at the last meeting, this is what they are. And they do get us below that excess spending threshold by what, $40 a kid, was it? The last time I looked. So carryover, so this is money that was left over from the previous fiscal year. If we take the $298,125 that's left and we carry it over to subsidized next year, right? That brings the cost down a little bit. The only problem is right, it's that coupon we're building a cliff that someday we may not have that money in surplus at the end of the year to replace, and we're going to have to deal with it. There was $350,000 that was set to go into the facilities reserve fund to make sure that we're keeping up on the maintenance and the deferred maintenance that's happened across the two schools. So we've reduced that by $300,000. So there's still $50,000 that'll be going into the reserve fund, but we've taken this much out. And then with some of the work that we did between special education, deciding that we could get away with fewer evaluations, and as well as the loss of an administrative assistant at the TRSU level, there was $78,402 of savings there.
So just for like language clarification, reduction in TRSU assessment, that just means.
That's the money that central office charges the district for the services that central office supplies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those things that Lane mentioned, the administrative assistant and some special ed costs, our portion of that savings is 78.
Yeah, Green Mountain gets savings from it too.
Okay.
Why is the administration assistant in that category?
Because it's central office, transportation and special ed, and central office.
Okay.
This is defined by regulation, it has to be in the central office.
Do your special educators assess, or is it really about psychologically something?
These are the 3-year laws.
Right, but
No, we hire.
Contracted services.
all of it.
Yeah.
Including achievements.
I know the answer.
Yeah, that's great.
But
The facilities reserve, so what will be the total if you add 50,000?
It'll be on the last slide.
Okay.
You'll have about 500,000 in there if I recall without.
If we were going to ask for, 350, and now it's gonna ask for it.
But there's money existing in that.
So roughly 150, we're putting 350 in this year.
Got it, okay.
Yeah. So that'll be last time. It's see how good my memory is. I think it's 504,000.
Okay.
Change.
What's the like historical, how is that the facilities reserve fund, the historical encumbered, expenses charged to that? I mean, like roughly how much do
What
we
do you
spend on
usually take it out of it?
facilities? Yeah,
It depends on what our
We
needs
really
are.
haven't had one, started building up, and then we did that on.
I see.
It came about because of the bond, right? We had to put money in case it passed.
So the bond failed, and I think it was, I convinced you to start putting more money in than Cheryl as well a year ago.
Okay.
Sorry, that way you wouldn't have to go out to bond, right? If you put in 350,000 in 2 or 3 years, you got enough there to, fully replace the roof or two.
Yeah, and that's the first place it gets stuck when we have to cut a budget to get under the threshold.
But I also think it's like, I don't think we can allow the buildings to degrade and ignore maintenance to the point where if there are tough choices ahead, we don't want the state to tell us based on the condition of your buildings, we must close this. So I think there is some responsibility to keep the buildings in serviceable condition. Yeah, even though it feels like it's not directly related to education, I support continuing to commit to that budget line.
Yeah.
But if there's, I just didn't want it to be that there was only 50,000 in that line. Okay.
Yeah, well, so yeah, I'm in agreement with you because there are certain things, right, if you take care of them when they're happening,
Yeah.
it's a heck of a lot cheaper than
Yeah.
taking care of it, plus the damage it causes if you didn't deal with it when it needed to be dealt with.
But it's a little scary to have 600,000 basically of one-time savings, that if we don't have this year with a big surplus, I mean, who knows whether, that we could easily be having to add 600,000 to the budget next year before we pay for salary increases and everything, right?
So my message is that exactly in agreement with you. You cannot not form that restructuring committee and get some plans in place. This is a one-time buy. It's buying you a year to figure out a more permanent solution. And hopefully it's also buying some time to figure out what the legislature is going to really do, because we don't know yet. They haven't even been introducing stuff or having conversations yet that are revealing what direction they're going here.
Except for how will it impact if there is a 3-year freeze on property tax?
I don't think they could do that.
That's what they're talking.
The Senate President, he wants, I haven't seen the numbers, but he wants to cap how much you can increase the budget each year.
So,
and then if we need to add 600,000,
think of the catastrophe that would cause without people having a chance to plan it. You have to make those decisions at least and give people at least a year or more in advance notice, because we plan our budgets a year in advance. You can't throw us a curveball in the middle of a budget.
And capping is what got us in trouble before, because people went to the cap.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And they knew there wasn't a penalty. So take a look at kind of where we are from where we were. Current school year right now, this is the total budget, right? 10.1 million. We're looking at increasing it to 10.4. The change is 301,000. So that's an increase of 2.97%. In terms of our expenses.
Bravo.
Especially considering that the New England inflation rate year over year for the 2 years running has been 3.1%, and it's actually 4% this month right now. So we're even under the inflation rate for that. So there's a good story here about what the schools are doing, which this is not unusual. And looking around the state, I've been hearing from the other superintendents, their budgetary increases are somewhere between 2.5% and 6%, depending upon the school district. So they're not doing anything that's excessive. The problem is going to be the same problem that's been for the last couple of years, which is your CLS. Change detail. These are places where, there were, increases. Contractual salaries, we've talked about that. We've negotiations, contingencies, right? We were negotiating new contracts and trying to estimate where we figured that those were going to land and putting the money in there so that we had it when the time came. We did some adjustments in terms of the non-bargaining folks, the folks who do not have a union to represent them. What we do with them is we go out, we take a look at what the comparables are around the state, and we try to keep them with the comparables. So that's how they get their increases. We talked about the fact that there was a significant cut in federal funding, especially in terms of Title II funds, which is where our professional development comes from. Best practices for kids, making sure that we are doing the best job we can in the classrooms for them. With the loss of that from the federal government, it seemed important to put some money aside to be able to continue that work without it.
We did cut what we had.
Yeah. Yeah, so the ones that are in green, that means that we've cut from the last time we were here on those ones. And then the special education, right? That's the big increase. That's the 180,000, which is probably 40,000 less than the last time we were here. In terms of figuring out some savings that we can do. All right. Tax rates in Vermont are based upon how much you pay per $100 of assessed value. So for every $100 of value of your property, if you were in Ludlow last year, you paid $1.98 or $1.99. Right? If you were in Mount Holly, you paid almost $2.01. Tax rates for 2026, 27 under this budget would be here. Now, here's where the story becomes important, right? This is the change, right? It's an increase in Ludlow of 22 cents. It's an increase of 38 cents for Mount Holly. 2 cents of it is because of what's happening in terms of education, in terms of what we've done and what's happening in the education fund. The rest of it is due to the common level of appraisal. Right? So it's not us. It hasn't been us for a while now. It's been the fact that property values are increasing and the state expects you to pay taxes on that additional value of your property. Common level of appraisal. Talk a little bit about this. It's an adjustment to what your property values are assessed at by your towns. The state goes out and it figures out the fair market value of the properties in the town every year. And typically what happens is because towns don't assess every year, those two numbers are out of whack. What has been happening across the state of Vermont, so this is true, the CLA impact is going to be happening to everybody again, is that the value of your properties have gone up. And when they go up, the state expects you to pay taxes on that additional value. Right. And so that's what the CLA does. Is, yeah, in our cases, your properties are worth more than what your assessments are. So we're going to charge you taxes for that additional value as well. In the case of Mount Holly, your common level of appraisal this year is 56%. That means if they didn't adjust it with the common level of appraisal, you would only be paying taxes on 56% of the market value of your homes. They want you to pay on 100%. And so that's the adjustment that the state does.
So if this happens all across the state, right? Then, and in most cases, the common level of appraisal has a negative impact on the tax rate or like increases the tax rate.
Yeah. So if it goes down.
Wouldn't it be more like a leveling of playing field? If, I guess what I'm trying to wrap my head around is if the state's coming in and correcting for increased value of homes, then we're just raising much more money with taxes. So are we like then not raising too much? Like, I don't understand how you're not raising more than what you need to fund your schools if they're coming in the back end and then also.
Because they set
unless there's towns where like their property values are too high and that you need to level that out.
Was it Baltimore that's getting the 77 cent decrease? Well, they were reassessed. So, and then the property values drops in terms of the assessment. So in other words, they're assessed here, but their value is now here. Right. So in their case, the CLA works to give them
so the 12 people
reduce their taxes.
And over. I'm getting it.
We were talking about that a little bit earlier about the idea is for equality with this gigantic, ridiculous. The equality.
I'm saying like it makes sense if it's like a balancing out, but it like
that's not what they mean by equality, and I think that's where the confusion is. Equality means that everybody's not paying kind of an equal share. Everybody's paying their fair share because everybody's paying their market value. Okay.
We had this discussion.
So if your house
around the same thing either, and my question is that if my house is valued at $100,000 and I look on Zillow and Zillow says 125, right? And I'm just using that as
right.
So now the state of Vermont is like, oh wait, you could sell your house for 125, so we're going to tax you on that.
So your CLA 75%.
Right, that's your CLA, whatever. But if everybody's having that same issue, we're dividing by a number, and that number, the bill at the end stays the same. What we're dividing it by is what's changing it. And it's the same question asked completely differently, and it makes no sense to me, although I've been doing this long enough to know that this is how it always works out.
Right, and I know
but it doesn't make sense.
You would think the education fund should be flush with huge amounts of new capital every year.
Right, and I just had this, I have a house in New York, and we just had the same thing. It was reassessed, and they don't call it common level of appraisal. They have something else. But I was like, oh my God, my taxes were gonna double because we did a lot of work. I can't, nope, $34. That's all they went up.
Yeah, my guess is, and Cheryl, you can correct me, when they see, they don't know, well, let's be honest, because we're having to make these decisions now. They don't know how much they need to raise in taxes until all the towns have voted on the budgets. So they actually do quite well in terms of their predicting. I got to give them credit for that. But my guess is that as a part of their prediction, they set a base rate. And so if they say, because they do a survey of all the business managers ahead of time to say, well, where do you think your budgets are going to be? And so then they say, okay, that means we got to collect this amount. And so the base rate that all your taxes are based on, we're going to set so that the CLA and everything else is taken into account in business deduction.
So the information we give them is like in November, that was our green budget.
Yeah.
Not our real budget. Great. So we can't afford that budget.
Right.
But that's, we start where we want to be next year. And we have to.
And then the conspiracy theory is that you've got people doing all these calculations and nobody's double checking them. So how the heck do you know?
Well, I mean, just to the point of like, if we need $1 billion to fund education in Vermont and we're dividing it by, however many properties there are.
So the equality piece isn't about equality in terms of, we're all paying like an equal amount in terms of our
No,
property.
but we're paying like
An
a
equal
fair
ratio.
share.
We're each paying our fair market value. That's how equality is established. So, if your house is 250 and your house is 500, you're going to be paying more. But you're paying your fair market value and you're paying your fair market value, so that's fair.
Sure, but if every single town is paying higher than what their assessed value is, like, it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't
make sense.
actually.
My understanding of that is that, the state, they do their survey every year comparing sales prices of, actual sales to the assessed value. And then when they did that, the ratio in Mount Holly, they think they see that our values have gone up more quickly than in the rest of the state. And so that's why they say, so Mount Holly now needs to pay a greater
I guess
percentage.
that's not my question. It's
Okay,
it has
yeah.
more to do with, I understand the mechanism.
There are towns whose tax rates are going down.
Okay.
It's just not the
I
majority.
mean, and that would.
They're typically the towns that have reassessed recently.
And it's a very small number.
Well, because we have two assessors in the state.
I know, somebody in the AOE and they will not be able to.
You have access to the budget at the state level.
Big budget?
It's on the,
Yes, looks like.
AOE website. So they can see.
it'll actually be on the tax assessors website.
Budget would be on, state of Vermont. You can see the education runs on the state of Vermont, because it.
So there it will show what each town is doing.
CLA wise, yes. The tax.
Tax department, you can see what everybody's CLA is.
If that's what
But I could never find a site that showed all the school district budgets.
Right, that's what.
Oh, the budgets? Oh, no.
I don't think I've ever seen that. It probably exists, but I've never
I
looked
don't
for
see
it.
it.
And the reason.
I spent an hour or two looking for it and couldn't find it.
And one of the reasons I'm saying that is, you're old, I shouldn't say old timers, but there are people who've been around a long time. One of the biggest things that come up at a budget time with this CLA and everything is if I buy a lottery ticket and it goes to the education fund, where is it going? Do you know what I mean?
Great question.
Right.
No, I mean, I've seen the printout and they do have the line for that and there's some of the.
So there is a printout somewhere.
So
There was actually, I think, a decent article in the Digger. I don't know what it was. I saw it this morning. That explains some of that. And I think it did a pretty good job.
Julia Rickner is the one that does all the numbers for the legislative body that looks at it, the DOJ, I think it is.
Yeah.
So sometimes you will go and find her reports and you can go down.
Yeah.
So she's revenue that's going in and what we use for.
Yeah, this is the total amount we need to fund education this year. This is the amount that's covered by, sales and meals and the taxes they're earning on marijuana, that sort of stuff. What's left over is what the taxpayers have to come up with. Yeah. So CLA, if your CLA stays pretty much the same from year to year, you don't see a change in your tax rates. You see a change when the CLA changes from year to year. And so you can see what's happening here is Ludlow's from this current year into next year, right? It's dropping 5.6%, and Mount Holly is really dropping. It's almost a 10% drop. And so the change in your tax rate is going to be proportional to the change in the CLA from year to year. And so Mount Holly's going to get walloped.
That might be what you wanted to see, and if it is, send it.
So in terms of $100,000 of value on your property, based upon this budget, for every $100,000 of property value that you have in Ludlow, you're going to see a $224 increase to your school taxes. $20 of that per $100,000 is due to education and education funding. $204 of that is due to the change in the CLA.
I like how you separated that.
Yes.
Mount Holly, right? Mount Holly had the bigger change in its CLA from year to year. In other words, your property values increased more than Ludlow's did. So you've got a bigger tax change here that you're going to be dealing with. It's $382 per $100,000 of assessed value. $20 again of it's due to education. $362 of it per $100,000 is due to the CLA change. Your property value. So again, as long as we're below the threshold, we've done our job. We don't have much control over what happens below the threshold. I mean, if we really, really cut everything, we could probably take a couple of pennies off, 2 or 3 pennies. But because of how the system works, we don't have much control. But the big thing, again, is not going to make you feel better because it means we're all paying more. It's the CLA that's causing it. It has not been the education folks the last couple of years. It's been changes in CLA decisions at the legislatures.
But if you could keep it in there right now, we're never going to be able to go back.
In terms of our costs? Not unless they start shutting schools down, which is what the redistricting is.
Does that really?
Yeah. It does.
No.
All right. So this is, we talk about surplus reserves and, kind of some strategic thinking here. And this goes along with ending up at making some decisions about, do you want to vote on this budget? Do you want to do anything about the roofing, knowing what you have in reserves? So at the end of the previous school year, I love how this works because it crosses 3 years. There was $479,000 in surplus money left over at the end of that budget year. You used $181,000 of it to subsidize this current year, so you built a little bit of a cliff to subsidize this year. That left $298,000 for us to do something with, and so this budget would put that into subsidizing next year. Okay, so again, it's great. It's going to subsidize things. It's going to help get you under that excess spending threshold, but it's a cliff that you built that we're going to have to deal with at some point in time. There are currently $154,000 in the reserve fund for doing facilities work. You voted in the last budget, previous budget, $350,000. So right now, in terms of reserves for facilities, there's a little over $500,000. So my 504, I got to that point. I didn't remember this piece here. Is what's sitting in there right now. The new budget. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Didn't know it could do that. The new budget there, instead of putting in another $350,000, which was kind of the plan, we were going to do that year after year to start to build up those reserves, so we never had to go out to bond. We've reduced that by $300,000, so we're only asking in this current budget for $50,000 to go into the reserves. So you have money in there right now and enough to cover, even the bigger roof job. The question is, what do you want to do? Facilities wise, other than the roof, I don't want to curse it by saying it, is I don't anticipate anything having a catastrophic collapse that we might, I don't anticipate that there's a boiler that's going to, blow up even though they're old, in this building.
So quick question.
Yeah.
So in order to get below the threshold, we are using the 298, 125 in green plus 300 of that.
And then the 78,000 in cuts from central office.
So where does the roof money would come out of the?
Yeah. So this is, think of it as a savings account. The district has created to put a little money aside so that when these things come up, we have the money as opposed to having to go out to bond and pay interest and everything else that goes along with that.
Can I ask some like nitpicky questions just for clarification, Cheryl?
Cheryl's good on the nitpicky.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
So I just, and a lot of it is probably just like language because I am new to this. But I'm looking at the spreadsheet for the Ludlow-Mount Holly, the summary budget. Can you just help me like, because I was, after our last meeting when we were 600,000 over, I was trying to do some strategery and, but I was unable to really get very far because I don't know what a lot of this means. So line 20 salaries, obviously that's,
Yeah, so
That's clear.
this summary is based on object code, which is salary, benefits, purchase services, repairs and maintenance, tuition and assessment, and then supplies, equipment, and then dues and fees.
okay.
So that's the breakdown in this one. And then when you go to the next tab over, that's where you get the breakdown by what we call function, which is preschool, debt services, elementary, high school, principal's office, maintenance, that scrolls down that way. And then the following tabs are Ludlow Elementary, Mount Holly Elementary, and then what we pay for either a district-wide expense or for the high school students to go out.
Okay.
They make it easy and simple.
I guess I'm not super clear on what purchase services means.
So it could mean anything from purchase services. Let me look at my detail.
Yeah, so you have the object code and then you have a dozen things that roll up into it.
Yeah.
And it's usually defined by the state. They tell you what has to be together each object code. That way they can pull your budget information and make sense to them.
Okay.
It'll just take me a second to get in.
Yeah, that's, I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, I have it. I just, it just takes a second to get in.
I recall some of that was a curriculum program that you needed to buy. Am I remembering that, Lane, right?
These pieces,
I mean, that's called a purchase service, isn't it?
Well, wouldn't that go
could
under
be.
assessment center?
The object codes that you use aren't always indicative of what you think they are, right? Because they're defined by the state. For the most part.
Right. And so the assessments, those are things that TRSU buys and then charges us back for.
Okay.
So special education, right? You purchase the special education services from us, even though those are teachers that are working in your district and more.
So I have a question about that too. So maybe we can go back to purchase services, but for special education, the total was 2.4 million.
That's district-wide. That's both
District-wide,
districts.
and we owe a third of that, right?
Typically.
So how is that? Is it just, we just divide that?
No, it's based on child
It's
count.
based on child count. Okay, because that's what I was wondering, because 1 million, 1.66, whatever this figure is not a third of.
No, that 2.4 that Lane was talking about, Florida is just the out of district students.
Then you got all the special education students that exist in district that you receive services here
And your
that you're
teachers
paying
and
for
your
as well.
SLPs.
Okay.
And your
Yes,
mental health
special, it's not unusual in Vermont for special education, like a third of a budget.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be a huge component of it.
No, I mean, if you really want to see what it is, you can go to the TRSU budget and then click on special ed, and then you have a whole lot of detail.
It's,
But it's, when in our budget, that part only shows up as an assessment. Whereas in their budget,
Okay, so
it's all there.
purchase services, some of that is
the majority of it actually is mental health counselors because they're paid out of TRSU. But the portion that's in TRSU is for special education. So those mental health counselors see regular ed students, that gets billed back to the school district. They work in the school,
Okay.
but their pay is done back. And then we have like Rate 180, we have some parent education. What's that like? QA's in there. We do pay a portion of QA for the students.
This was a good one if you, especially if you got an interest in it, because it does make sense when you sit down and you look at it. Especially if you work with it a lot, set up a time to come and meet Michelle.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that on the side because I really want to know the details of all the financials, just so I can feel more
provide you with
informed.
the detailed financial, which is line by line.
Yeah.
No one generally looks at it, so I end up to print it out for anybody. But I'm happy to go over it.
I work in finance. I love spreadsheets.
Great.
And they're on in Vermont. We're audited every year.
I'm not saying any of this out of suspicion.
Oh, no.
It's just I am genuinely curious and want to know these things.
All right, what other questions did you have?
We can sidebar this. I'll find a time.
But do you have a question? Because we're gonna have to decide if we're gonna vote on the budget tonight. So I don't want you left wondering before you're feeling comfortable to vote on that either.
Yeah, if you got a question that's gonna change your decision one way or the other, those are ones you probably want to ask.
Tech center. So that's
our high school students that attend.
okay.
So placement is part of it on behalf of the nobody pay deals.
See, I'm so glad I asked because in my mind it was like iPads. What is that?
No, that's part of the central office budget.
Okay.
That aspect of tech.
All right. So then what are supplies and utilities? Then that would be like paper.
So it's your general ed supplies that you need, your, day-to-day supplies, but it's also all your utilities. So it's your electricity, your heating oil, your propane, what other utilities do we have? I think that's the main, well, probably water and sewer. No, maybe it would be a phone. Yes.
In terms of like savings in that category, do we have smart thermostats?
Do we have what?
Smart thermostats.
I
guess that should
we
have been
do have a heating system that we can go on and off at certain times. I think we do have that controls to set that up.
Okay.
Is that what you mean, like for the furnace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Hollywood because they have a new boiler. So
Yeah,
have
I'm sure Mike can do that.
We do, the company that helps us manage and maintain that is called Control Technologies. And, we have it all programmed so that like when we're out of the building in the evening and on weekends and on vacations, the temperature goes way down.
Okay.
And it comes on an hour before we start coming to the building. So it's not freezing when we get there.
Yeah.
That's why these buildings are cold when we have meetings.
It encourages teachers not to work on.
And then you get the building like the high school, and they have the older boilers that if you turn them down, it takes a day just to get them warmed back up again.
No, it's a really, with the new furnace, it's a
New furnace
incredibly efficient.
It's a 35% efficiency increase in the new ones.
I think that's solid.
Does PRSU have an out of district case manager?
Yes. Yes.
That was actually cut back on one of them.
We have a 1.5 in credit to 1.2.
0.2?
One bit.
Not happy about that.
So for the 27 students, you have one person.
Because we also have all the Ludlow and Poly students that are special ed that are tuitioned out and have to be monitored as well.
Yeah, so they're not an outplacement, but they're going off to like Middle River.
Right.
But they're still our kids.
So
we have to.
they're out of district from our perspective because they're not being educated at one of our schools.
Yeah. Questions good. So the decisions for the board is you've got the budget warning, which is basically voting on the budget that we just talked about. you gotta actually do it in a special way. You gotta read the actual warning out if you decide that that's what you want to do. You've got to vote on the announced tuitions, which Cheryl will talk a little bit about, and then you don't have to, but this would probably be the best time if you're going to make a decision on what you want to do with the degree, because as Cheryl said, those bids are getting stale.
Can I ask one question about budget? And I'm doing quick math, and we know that's not my specialty. We have roughly 170 kids between Ludlow and Mount Holly. And if we assume 20% of them are special ed, and I don't want specific numbers, that leaves us with about 34 kids-ish, right, in special ed. And I don't know that that's accurate. I'm just roughing numbers there. What's that?
Sure what your math was.
But tell us what the end is.
Well, the end result is, and I'm looking at our lists of teachers and whatever, and we have 4 special ed teachers for those 34 kids. Is that an accurate statement?
No,
No, that's what I'm getting at. So
there's 88 Ludlow-Mount Holly. So much of them.
say that a little louder. 88 Ludlow-Mount High students, and that's
The child count.
No, that's K through.
So the numbers I was looking at are the people in the buildings, right? Are you talking 88 total K to 12, or I guess what I'm asking is, how many kids are elementary aged, K to 6, pre-K to 6 maybe, that are being served by 4 special ed teachers? That's what I'm trying to get at.
That's option. I don't know if they might be able to tell you that. My last still moving.
What's that?
So there's 4 full-time positions, and you want to know how
As
many.
long as you're not identifying the
I
discipline.
mean, that's what it looks like to me, but I could be, I'm looking at Craig. Do you think that's is
I
right?
think we're close to the ballpark.
Okay.
And some of that has to do like not having super high numbers on each caseload, but the intensity of the needs.
Right.
And those.
And that gets, I was just gonna say that gets determined, as you know, Kelly, like by the team that is deciding how many minutes the kid needs on the service phone for each service.
38. That was close in both sections.
So one of the things that'll happen, as a part of the work that I'm doing with the study, is they're going to build a field into their special education software so that when they do the annual reviews, they're going to put a number in there. And the number is a severity indicator. And it'll be dependent upon how much time the student spends receiving services. Right, the more time you spend, the more severe your IEP is in terms of removing you from the regular education environment. And so that way we'll have a way to track over the course of time if that is improving, and you'll be able to dig a little bit deeper into questions like, oh, that special education teacher has 14 and that one only has 9. Why is that? Well, there's the complexity of the child to work with, and we'll be able to put a number on that. Yeah.
You should be able to align that with your educational Medicaid levels.
Which are changing.
Right.
Okay.
But those special ed teachers are employed by TRSU.
Correct.
Yeah.
You'd be paying the same amount, or if you were paying directly. You're just managing.
So the budget currently is,
Go back.
You're going.
you want me to read that?
Well, you'll have to vote on it.
Yes.
first, and
All right, so as we've heard over the last couple months and tonight, and the final numbers at the moment, do you want me to do this now, or do we want to talk about, are people feeling like we're ready to vote on it?
So you'd ask for a motion and then
Right,
discussion and then.
You're right. I was going to do all that. I just didn't know if there was more questions and more comments and things that people wanted to share before we take this plunge. It's way after my filter time. All right, I will start reading. Warning, Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified.
You have to vote on your budget before you.
Oh, well, that's what I was saying. Do I just do we vote on
I
this?
think you have to.
Yeah, I think it's not gonna hurt to do it separately. So.
Okay, so the budget amount that's in here now that we would be voting on would be $10,455,017.
So you're looking for a motion to say, to suggest that we approve a budget of $10,455,017.
Sense.
Okay?
So are you making that?
I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there more discussion about the budget? Are you good? Yeah, are you sure? Yeah. All right.
He's asking her.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure before we go here. All right, so there's a motion and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor of Dave's motion of $10,455,017.
I mean, she's just having the
Accuracy that doesn't exist.
Right.
Somebody needs that extra $3.
Give you $17.
We could help.
Discussion, or are we at second?
We seconded, I asked for discussion, everybody was giggling at the $17. Do you have discussion?
I just have a question. This is assuming completion and fixing of the negotiations.
Made
Negotiations.
an assumption in there to accommodate that.
And this is also assuming the roof, correct?
So it's just.
We haven't done that, but
That's a separate,
item.
that's a separate.
separate.
Is it
Okay.
reserved?
Okay. 27 job. All right, so we've motioned, we've seconded, we've discussed, we've almost voted, we've discussed. How are we at voting now? All right, all those in favor of $10,455,017.
Right.
Aye.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. All right, is anybody opposed? Is that?
Now, if somebody opposes,
Nobody's opposing, correct?
just wondering, I still haven't voted.
You still haven't voted. Okay, that's what I'm asking. Everybody opposed?
Abstained.
So
You're
does
gonna
that
abstain?
mean we do roll call?
No, everybody's here.
Yeah, because we're all in person, we don't have to. Okay.
Wait, what about Jamie?
Oh,
Jamie, well, she left, she's not
right, but we
online.
still have a quorum.
If someone was online.
Line, right, that's,
Sorry.
I understand.
yeah. And we still have a quorum, so we're all good, right? I'm just covering bases. Okay, so it's.
So do we have none? Yeah.
Yeah,
We have enough yes votes.
we have enough yes votes.
I like those.
Okay. We have enough yes votes to approve this budget. I'm now going to read it officially.
Right. Make the motion to approve the warning.
Okay, all right. What do we have to talk about the 16
If you read it, and then you get a motion.
motion? That's what I thought I was doing before too. All right. Do we need to do separately the 16 million? Or six? Sorry, 16,000?
No, you read, article,
It'll all be, okay.
it'll make sense.
All right. All right, so from the top, warning, Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District, voting by Australian ballot, Ludlow Town Hall and Mount Holly Town Office, Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The legal voters of Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District, consisting of the towns of Ludlow Town and Mount Holly, are hereby warned to meet at the respective polling places on Tuesday, the 3rd day of March, for the purpose of voting by Australian ballot. The business to be transacted include Article 1. Shall the voters of the Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District approve the school board to expend $10,455,017, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. The Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District estimates that this proposed budget, if approved, will result in per pupil education spending of $16,420.98, which is 4.15% higher than per pupil education spending for the current year. Article 2, election of school directors. Approved at a duly warned meeting on January 14th, 2026, and may be signed by us. Motion to approve. Motion to approve what I so loudly read.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I had to look up Australian ballot.
Is there a second? Okay, now do we want to discuss?
In the sense of education, like educating like everybody and how it's on the ballot, how it shows like the cost per pupil, like the increases, right? Because that surprises everybody when they see the budget increase is 2.97, but actually then it says 4.15. Exactly. So the increase of that is the $654 from last year to this year. How would we best explain that? Just like, and just reminding people that it's cost per pupil isn't the elementary schools, correct? It's accounted for
Right, all the kids.
From K to 12 and those who.
Tell them
But
that.
if your daily membership, your average daily membership changes, like that's gonna, that bottom number changes in your division problem, so that impacts, even if the overall spending only goes up 2.97%, if your denominator goes down a little, you're gonna increase it.
And it's the term, I just remind like everybody, it's not just the elementary schools.
Right.
We had a 1.79.
And we're doing the high school.
Yeah.
Right, as well.
Right, yeah.
Remember that the state, they require this language and they purposely chose, and I'm not exaggerating on side, they purposely chose the ones that would provide with the highest percentages. It was doesn't touch.
We can. Right now, Dave, are you ciphering something out over there?
No, I just want to take a picture of it.
Okay. You know, you're figuring over there. All right. Any other discussion about the warning?
Who wrote it?
You get the clerk to share.
My only question is, and then this comes up every time, it sounds weird when it says consisting of the towns of Ludlow Town and Mount Holly, but we have to put that in there. Is that what you were gonna go for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ludlow is a village too, which is the utility.
Right.
That's probably what the distinction is. There's a Ludlow town and Ludlow.
Right, yeah. I don't know if that's why, but it comes up every year and it sounds weird, but every year we're told we have to do it that way.
We could say the municipalities of Ludlow Town.
Yeah.
The state is like really strict on the language.
Yeah, no, it's.
So what I can say is I can have legal check it. But you've already kind of approved it right now, so, or you're about to for next year. Yeah, but I'll have to check it.
Yeah.
But they're explicit about the wording. I mean, there's almost no way you can change.
It's the same as not including Belmont. Because Ludlow Village is the same as Belmont.
This is like, I'm really tired of it.
Yeah.
A row.
Yeah, no, we just do it every year, so I knew what you were gonna say, and I hesitate when I read it every time too. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any other discussion about it? Hearing none. All those in favor of the warning as I read it?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Abstain.
Thank you. All right. So we will sign this now.
Yeah.
We will borrow a pen from Julie.
I just want to say that there's already commotion on Facebook of voting budgets down, so we'll have to do our due diligence.
Already?
I'll send it to you.
Oh, it'll just say.
We'll talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, oh, it doesn't matter. It was I'll send it to you too.
Yeah.
You know who it's from. It was an overall, vote budgets down across the state. We have to send a message to the state, the whole rigmarole that we went through last year, the year before. Send a message to the state. You gotta vote those down. Even going so far as to say, oh, your school board members that are up for reelection, see what political party they're in and make sure you vote accordingly. Yeah.
You guys are so cool.
Yeah.
So the message to the state is we know what the state wants to try to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
a few of them said,
according to the state of Montana.
Yeah,
See how that goes. All right, so the warning Julie is passing around, we all have to sign that. Then I have to read the annual school district meeting warning. So this is a separate thing that we will also hopefully be signing. The annual school district meeting. Warning, Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District, Annual School District Meeting, Ludlow Elementary School, Tuesday, February 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Is that the correct location? That's my first question.
You're not Holly last year.
Once the board votes.
We were?
Yes.
Okay. The legal voters of Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District, consisting of the towns of Ludlow and Mount Holly, are hereby warned to meet at Ludlow Elementary School in the town of Ludlow, Vermont, on February 24th, 2026, to transact at that time business not involving voting by Australian ballot or voting required by law to be by ballot. The business to be transacted at this meeting includes the following. Article 1, to elect a moderator for a one-year term beginning July 1st, 2026. Article 2, to elect a clerk for a one-year term beginning July 1st, 2026. Article 3, to elect a treasurer for a one-year term beginning July 1st, 2026. Article 4, shall the voters of the Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District approve the annual honorarium for each of its school board directors at $1,200 per board member and $1,500 for the board chair. Article 5, shall the voters of the Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District approve the annual honorarium for its school district clerk at $125. Article 6, shall the voters of the Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District approve the annual honorarium for the treasurer at $1,500. Article 7, shall the voters of the Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District authorize its board of school directors to borrow money pending receipt of payments from member districts as provided in Title 16, Chapter 11, Subchapter Section 711 by issuance of notes of money orders payable not later than 1 year from date for the purpose of paying its expenses. Article 8, to hear and act on the reports of the Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District directors for the year ending June 30th, 2025. Yes, I always have to in my head. Article 9, to transact any other business deemed proper when met, not involving the expenditure of school district funds or any other business acted upon in the preceding articles.
Sure.
Was that the big oh.
Do I move to adopt that?
Yeah. Or do we discuss or?
Well, we can make a motion.
Right, I'll make a motion
Okay.
and we adopt that.
We'll second it. Do you have discussion?
Yeah, what was the date in the what was the reference to 2025?
Year ending, right here. To hear and act on the reports of the Ludlow-Mount Holly Unified Union School District directors for the year ending June 30th, 2025. So that's the,
I question that every year, but.
I do too. It's right, because it's the,
It looks better.
but yeah.
Oh,
Looks like
right.
that.
Okay, and we're sure it's in Ludlow. The Tuesday, the 24th is right. And I'm just going to say this because this always comes up too. We used to do this at town meeting, but because we are one district with two different towns, the articles of agreement say that we'll alternate it year to year by town. And it's the week before town meeting, town voting. So this is where we give out that informational meeting where we talk about things, and people expect this at some degree at town meeting, I think, and it's just no longer that way. So people should come to this meeting if that's what they're expecting. That's all I want to say, not to confuse people.
But very few people do.
Right, but they're frustrated that they did. That's why I'm hoping that we can alter that.
And Kelly, you've also made a really good point in the past about making sure some people are at the actual town meeting
Yeah.
in each town.
Yeah.
To talk and answer questions.
Right. All right, so we have a motion and a second on this. Any other discussion about it? All those in favor of approving the warning as I just read?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And you're abstaining or opposing?
Abstain.
Thank you. All right.
I just need my name time to get my.
All right, so while you're saying that, I just have a question, is that I put the same thing in the booklet year after year, and I feel like it needs to change. And so I'm asking for changes. I had been talking to David Johnson about what would need to be changed. And he suggested I do something, where are our students, what schools do our students go to? I don't know if it's just the schools or more detail that is wanted. He also suggested breaking out the assessment, which I did in that summary page. Is there other things that can look at me specifically, because I know you've had a problem with the budget before, and so what would you look for in the booklet?
It's tough because try to figure out how to do your special ed, you've got to read four or five different sections to figure it out. Because, part of it is TRSU, part of it's Ludlow-Mount Holly. You've got a report from the head of at TRSU of special ed, then you've got the section from here, then you've got the two different schools talking about it, and they don't link. It's sort of back to what David was talking about with the two schools. You present the data, or I guess the best way to put it is, you guys don't edit that everything's presented consistently across everything. Is that too general?
No, that makes sense.
Heavens,
I was looking more.
would I be wrong?
I think that consistency is always good, and being able to compare things and look at this information and that information and know that it's comparable, apples to apples, is always good. I think making sure that the kids where they are is in there, because that's just going to remind everybody that we are paying K to 12, pre-K to 12.
Looking for number of kids in each school or the tuition that we pay. Like,
I think if we could make it hard, that said, numbers of kids in each school and the tuition at that school, I think people would be interested in that. And I think that's really important information for people to have when we're talking about closing a school, or why don't we just do this, or why don't we do that, and to see how we have very little control currently, and we have even less control then. And those tuition rates go up and up and up, and we're at that mercy.
okay, we can have any other thoughts, Sharon?
I think the only
Next week I
thing,
can put it together.
and not like a thought for additional information, but just for a presentation of it, like the pie chart that Lane had was very easy to look at a glance.
Part thing with that is that they don't translate black and white, and the color is really expensive to put in the booklet.
Yeah.
It's too confusing if you do patterns on a pie chart.
Go wild.
Spend that $300.
Color every single.
From one page.
Right.
So it's mailed to each voter.
Is that what was?
And we need to make sure that happens correctly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That was a big problem.
budget, does this book come out,
Yours.
comes out yours?
Oh, you get charged if it comes out of the district, yeah.
Can we see, are we actually required to send a book to every person, or can people opt
I think it's in your articles, right?
It's in the articles, because that's one voted on. There was one taxpayer that wanted continue that, and so it was voted in. It could be something that could come up at your annual meeting, but the warning that you just voted on would have to have been on that. So
And they always give us a PDF version
And
that
people would
we
get-
send out electronically too.
yeah,
So, the idea of not having it printed is,
a Green Mountain side is something
I like-
different.
I
They
like
want
the idea of
postcards
paperless
where we come pick up your book if you want.
People are kind
Oh,
of.
wow.
Yeah, they really.
Yeah, it's a tradition that people love.
And people, it's like there was a mistake
It's
with the
big,
daily.
it's more than
And
just.
people
Remember
thought,
how it's been.
and people thought it was intentional,
Yeah.
like before the book.
But I feel like that's probably not the entire population. It's
Probably a majority of, honestly.
in this case, I would argue it's the community that doesn't send kids to the school that should make the decision.
That's their communication.
Yes.
Look at the chit chat, look at all of that, they can touch it, see it, they don't rely on technology for it, it's big.
Yeah.
It reaches a lot more people than I think.
No, I get that, but even if like 30% opted out, it's just better for the environment and our budget. For this road.
I don't disagree
Just a
with you
thought.
necessarily, but I think the amount we would save,
Bring us
$17. Right, the people, right. The people that want it are loud enough that it's worth the $17 it would save.
Do we pay per booklet or is it like batch, like?
Like 25, but yeah.
Well, they're the ones that do the actual mail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we printing it, now we pay for it.
So we don't do the mailing, we do that.
I hope you got a refund last year.
Okay, no, it's your mistake.
Probably probably.
All right, keep us on track here.
Like,
All right, so we have a budget. We've got a warning, we've got a second warning. And
And we haven't done the roof yet.
And that's tuition.
Yep.
Tuition first?
Yeah.
So last year we had announced tuition of $19,000. To the best of my knowledge, we have one student that was a part-time student that came for this winter section. But the allowable tuition, which is what the state looks at after they look at our whole budget, and they look at the number of students, they come up to $25,044. So while we don't have a lot of students that comes in, we want to be sure that if a student come in, yeah, what's happening to educate everybody else.
Who pays this tuition?
It would be either the sending parent or the sending district if that were the
Okay.
case. Generally, it's not the sending district, it's a parent that.
There's only one?
there have been many years where there have been none.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, and this is just like their sibling is in a ski school or something. And goes to their goals.
It's usually a high school. You see a lot more of high school.
Wait, so sorry, the tuitioning person, kids could be for like 7 to 12 grade? Like, no, right. Okay, so this is incoming pre-K to 6 from another district. Okay,
Just because they come to
got it. Okay.
There's not usually a lot of
Yeah.
Michigan kids that.
Yeah, so you're at 19, but our allowable is 5. And if they come just for the winter, like you haven't clean prorated out. Okay, it is prorated out.
So you're proposing to increase from the 19, closer to the 20.
And Cheryl, am I correct in that we can, we say it's 25, but if we wanted to, we can charge what it actually costs them once, is that true? Like, isn't there at some point?
We would do an allowable with parents.
Say that again?
We would do an allowable with a parent. We do allowable with the other public schools that we do. So if it's different, then we would make the adjustment, then we don't do it.
Wait, what?
Families pay the full amount, is what you're saying.
Oh,
Right, we don't go back after we find out what the allowable is and make it.
I mean, they could come and appeal to the board.
I guess what I'm asking is, if we say 25 tonight, and then next year somebody comes in and the school district's paying or whatever, and we're like 25, but if a parent came in we could say like our actual 18, 19, 16, whatever we just saw up there, correct or no?
No.
No.
I believe a parent could come in and appeal to the board for a reduced cost, and we could make a board decision, but I'll double check on it.
You don't have to set it at 25. You can keep it at 19. You're not really getting any kids.
Right, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's more about when you're getting kids, you want to get what it costs you to educate all your other.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to clarify if we can.
And we're not paying for other students to go anywhere at the elementary level.
Right. Well, we do have a limited school choice. Which
For
they go,
elementary?
yeah. So they go into like Cavendish. We have Cavendish and Ludlow that switched. We have a few in Mount Holly and Ludlow that switched.
But this price isn't
That's not for that.
How does that work financially if someone from Green Mountain comes here?
We do have the,
We have an agreement that spells it out.
yeah.
That's the agreement we worked on last year and kind of revisited.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so are we,
If a student came in and they needed special ed, would the sending district be responsible for the special ed costs?
Yeah.
If it's sending district, if it's a parent, then that's the consideration.
Okay.
okay, do we have more discussion about setting our tuition at 25 even?
Sure.
And 17?
So as a practical matter, it doesn't cost us hardly anything, is that right? If a student comes from another district and, you know, we don't hire another teacher, we don't, right?
Theoretically. But why wouldn't you want to collect that money? Right.
Yeah, provided.
But you are sitting right on the excess spending threshold. What I would, the question I would ask is what your duty to your taxpayers.
So an extra $6,000 can, you know, make a little bit of difference, right?
Yeah.
Everything else. We're having bake sales next week.
So I'm not saying, you know, just give it about experiment.
Yeah, $17 bill.
Fill the,
All right.
fill the booth.
And they go into our account?
What?
They go into our weighted pupil count? No. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
We don't-
That's okay, I want to,
The sending district maintains the ABM. Legal distribution.
So you're waiting for a motion.
Okay, I'll move we raise the tuition to 25,000.
perfect. Is there a second? Second. That you? All right. Any other discussion about the announced tuition?
I have a question. So, is there any reason we would want to keep it lower? To like incentivize people coming? I mean, I don't know, like I'm thinking head count, right? Like,
But it doesn't count towards our head count.
well, but would it count towards our head count for purposes of class size, like in the state's analysis when they're looking at schools?
They have not defined it yet. They finally put together a committee to start defining some of those things, but my guess is yes.
So like, I'm just wondering, you know, if there are consolidations and things. I guess it's not relevant for this coming year, although if we go to 25, it might be hard to think about going less, but, you know, if there's a potential like recruitment value in having a lower, tuition rate that might help our class size numbers, there could be a knock-on, impact that way.
But I think that's where we have the opportunity, if just for example, if
Yeah.
Cavendish were to close, that we could make a deal with a lesser tuition rate for them to come here and we wouldn't have to go with them.
So we would be their designated school. And so-
There's workarounds.
In that case, you said it's often negotiated. Is that right?
And, you know, your idea about recruitment isn't bad because the two schools here are actually really high performing in the state. Actually, more than fairly.
I assume if we decided in next fall we wanted to reduce it, could we do that?
No.
No.
For the fall.
It's in the annual decision.
This is an annual.
Any other thoughts? All right, so there is a motion. All those in favor of raising our tuition to 25,000?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I don't know what I think about it.
I guess I'll go with the recommendation of the administration, yeah.
So you're.
Yes, I'm a
opposed?
yes.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay. Thanks.
That I have enough info.
All right.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we are good on 2026-27 budget. We don't want to skip things again.
That would be roof.
And surplus reserves, Mount Holly roof. So we've heard from Todd, and so he's gone home. We have 3 quotes, the separated out by full roof, partial roof. Do we have a motion about one or the other? Any of the above?
Can we discuss first, or we have to have a motion to discuss?
I
mean, to me, the 100,000 is obviously a lot of money to say, well, I think it's clear we need to do the full roof. But the question is whether to use the cheaper company or the medium company. And $100,000, that's a lot of money to save. I mean, if you had to cut 100,000 in the budget somewhere else, right, that'll be a lot of money. Right?
Yeah.
For next year, right? And if Todd was willing to do some to find out if this less expensive company has done commercial roofs, in buildings of a similar size, and he's willing to call the people they did the work for and see if they do good work, right? Then it would be significant savings. I mean, that's
I agree.
to me, it's a question. I don't have a strong view, but it's a bunch of money.
They did, I think I have this one.
Old person.
Total Roofing, right? That's the name of it?
Yeah.
They did
Yeah, Total
Hardwood
Roof is the
Hotel
lowest bid.
investment, Manchester View Hotel, Rutland, Bennington Rutland SU, one of their schools. They spelled the school wrong. I don't know if that's Federal Ranger Station, and Pinnacle condos and Spruce condos.
Did you like?
Oh, well, I got the drive here.
So we can take a drive and go look at the roofs. You want to? Not many.
Yeah,
But
and I
I
would
mean,
just
it's a
out
valid
there.
point though. I mean, if it's a significant savings and if their work is good, I mean, so let it be. I mean, I don't think that we should just take the median one because, hey, the low guy is obviously the crap option.
Right.
And the higher guy, we're writing off because they're top dollar. We're gonna go in the middle. I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, look, we're cutting stuff left and right here, and $100,000 is a lot of money.
Is there any difference in warranty or guarantee or anything among the
That was my
three?
question. So
That's more of a Todd. I think the answer is no.
Okay.
I looked at some of the things, and there's a lot of places that Total Roofing has done, and they have 2 businesses. It says one Clarendon, one maybe. But all their reviews were good.
I actually had ChatGPT pull all of the reviews for all 3 companies, and Vermont Roofing got the worst.
Mm-hmm.
That's a work?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
why is that?
It's just how many stars they got from all the different platforms.
I would, just my personal opinion, I worry about online reviews because we don't know the validity of them. If we're really going to base this on reviews, I think we need to talk to people who actually have. If we're not, I don't care what we do. I'm not going to hold us one way or the other, but if we're going to talk a lot about reviews and base our decision about reviews, I think we should give Todd an amount of time to look into 1 or 2 of them. And then either have a special meeting so that we can get this done quickly or,
Well, I think that some of the reviews.
what's that?
You vote on it pending that review.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that, yeah.
I mean, if I'm the only one that cares about the reviews, then I don't want to hold us up by any means. I think one other thing to consider is that Total Roofing is like a newer company compared to the other two, which is probably, could be why they're charging less, because they're trying to build their book of business.
I think as far as reviews go, sorry.
Yeah.
If somebody has a bad experience, they're more likely to post about
Right,
it.
yeah.
And put that bad experience out there rather than, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't trust any of,
And
any
this
of
is
that.
not to judge anything on Vermont Roofing by them having mixed reviews, but just saying that Total Roofing has really good reviews from the people who have reviewed. So that's even
what I
more
mean.
telling than because those people are.
Or you can incentivize people to make good reviews.
Right,
We don't know that part either.
right.
Doesn't say how long Total Roofing has been in business. Like, are their roofs only 2 years old? And of course they're. Pretty good.
Schools only need to make it through the next two.
I also don't think a partial is, should be even considered in my personal opinion. I think that we've done, speaking from Mount Holly School, we've done partial this and partial that and piecemeal this, that, and the other thing. Backsides of this doesn't get, you don't go back and you don't fix it and then things are rotting and one side's good, one side's bad. So I think that if you're gonna do it, you need to just do it. Yeah.
And we agree on that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right?
I do think there's people out in the community who are asking why we're bothering to put a roof on anything if we're gonna close and all that. And we still have to maintain the building. That's our responsibility.
Yeah, I know, I know it was discussed like last meeting with the specific wording being it's unethical not to.
And fiduciary responsibility under the law, yeah.
So what do people feel comfortable with for tonight?
I mean,
Table it, we can do a special meeting, we can vote on it, we can.
I could make a motion to say that we authorize the administration to sign the contract for the total roof with the Total Roofing Company. Pending Todd calling a number of the commercial projects that they have done, and he's satisfied, with the responses that he gets from them.
Can we say administration?
Administration. Yeah, you're right. That's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Does that work as a motion?
It's all right.
This is very trouble.
That's all, you've had trouble, just be louder.
I can be louder. I'll work my way up. Todd may know somebody that could inspect the work that's done to make sure it's got to standard, and that might be something to give you a greater degree of comfort if you go with the cheaper thing. It might cost you money to do the inspection, but it would give you, some peace of mind that they did a quality job, or that they used the materials that they indicated in their contract that they would be using.
Yeah.
Okay, so I amend the motion to say that, to give the administration the discretion, right, to hire an inspector if they believe it's appropriate, after getting the reviews.
For the full work.
Getting the reference.
I'm getting the references from.
Total roof, I'm talking partial full roof.
Oh, yes.
Full roof, Total Roof Company.
Right.
Just for clarity, and because I want to make you work hard tonight.
Just give me 2 seconds.
Oh, you got it. All right.
And then I can read it to you. Now she lost her train of thought.
Right, sorry.
Mr. Martin moved to authorize the administration to approve the contract with Total Roof Company for the full roof repair, pending the administration contacting a number of the references of the company and receiving satisfactory results, and to give the administration discretion to hire an inspector of some of their property work, of some of Total Roof Company's property.
My only thing is I heard Dave say Todd would call the commercial. And I think that's important for what we're doing.
That's right.
I thought the concept of the inspector was after we let the roof.
While they were doing the work.
Oh.
I wasn't clear on that.
Send an inspector to somebody else to do that?
Yeah, I don't, would they let us have?
Gonna say I haven't said.
I mean, that's why I said, give them the discretion.
I thought it was after, I thought the concept of the inspector was after the roof was put on to make
I think
sure.
we know enough for that.
It's,
It's an unofficial.
it's Vermont. We'll figure it out through just the researching. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
it's there as an option if you.
Also, it's been a really long time since we saw the 3 proposals. Is there a difference, do you remember, in the materials they used?
No, we asked them for specific.
Okay. All right.
All right, so
Kelly, I think the motion should say roof repair. Is it a full replacement? Do you want to change that?
Thank you.
I think that's what I heard you say,
Okay.
full roof repair versus replacement,
I
right?
think we need to say it again.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, can you read it again?
Yes. Mr. Martin moved to authorize the administration to approve the contract with Total Roof Company for the full roof replacement, pending the administration contacting a number of the commercial references of the company and receiving satisfactory results, and to give the administration discretion to hire an inspector of some of Total Roof Company's property work to check the quality of their work.
I would strike so in my feedback on the motion is that I would like to strike the language having to do with the inspector portion.
I think that would be up to Dave.
Oh,
So we
right,
would either have to vote this down
Got
or,
it.
I'm sorry,
And I can word it differently.
yeah, can I read it? I
Yeah.
can't, I'm sorry.
It's the last paragraph.
Thank you.
I agree with that.
First part,
You
yeah.
understand the inspection.
Like fire and inspector.
Okay, yeah, no, that's why I said give them the discretion if they choose to, if they think it's a good idea, basically. But
I'm not sure an inspector would go and inspect somebody's roof.
Yeah.
But they could inspect Mount Holly's roof when they're done, but they're not gonna inspect, I don't think, work for somebody else when there's no benefit to them.
so then do people agree it's better to eliminate that?
It says discretion, so if we do or don't, we're not bound to it, right? I don't know that it's,
Do you have a sense, Lane, whether that's something that you or he would want to do or not?
Inspection piece?
I mean, get an inspector to go look at the work that that the company has done elsewhere.
One of these places is a school, so I think we have a connection there that we can talk to.
Okay.
the person.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm of the mind that I wouldn't have a problem doing it. I don't know of a place that would let us do it. But
Right.
Okay.
That's
Okay, I'll strike that part of the motion.
okay.
Okay.
We appreciate the thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, yeah.
I mean, it's logical.
Make the state do it.
Yeah.
Oh, very well.
All right.
It's now or in 2030?
Well, and
All right, for clarity,
in any
because
event,
I
if
feel
you
like we're
wanted to do it,
all.
there's nothing to prevent you from doing it, being in the motion.
All right, the final motion is,
Mr. Martin moved to authorize the administration to approve the contract with Total Roof Company for the full roof replacement, pending the administration contacting a number of the commercial references of the company and receiving satisfactory results.
I say,
thank you. All right. Any other discussion about the motion?
Now that we're doing the roof, can we do the water or the sewer or something?
Water's supposed to be done with it.
Water is supposed to happen this summer and it's.
All right, all those, just in case the reviews come back, or we want a second, should we vote on our second choice?
I feel like that we should have a special meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, all those in favor of the motion as it currently is most recently read by Amber?
All right.
Anybody opposed? No. All right. Maybe we'll have a roof. Old business. Policy, let me just do that another day.
You can, I mean, unless there's no questions, it's fine. It's the second.
It's a second read anyway.
Yeah, these are the mandatory policies, there's not much you can change.
Right. So are there any questions? What's your?
On the, we're discussing the policies?
Yeah, Series D,
Okay.
the instruction ones.
One of the policies had to do with the class size, right? And shortly before I got on the board, a policy, whether it was a policy or a guideline, was adopted saying we wanted to have between 13 and 18 students. And so I'd like to withdraw that one from this approval and have a larger discussion at a future meeting about what we should be doing about class size, other than saying, yes, we'll comply with the law.
So I think, I don't have the policy in front of me, I can pull it up. I think this policy just says you have to have a policy on class sizes.
Well, I think it says I don't, but like, who makes that? I mean, do you make the policy or does the board?
So the board could, or it could delegate it to administration.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd like to see the board have further discussion about what we think is, how class sizes should be determined. And so again, my preference would, and not tonight.
Right, so this is a first read. So in our second read, we would have some information about I believe that's the guideline or the procedure, I don't know exactly, that goes with the policy that says we were hoping to keep it between 13 and 18 and that we would reevaluate through attrition and all of that. That's what you're talking about, right, Dave?
That's right.
I'll see if I can find that.
Yeah.
Remember that this is going to be superseded anyway, because the law is already the law. You have enrollment guidelines you have to follow. So I'm surprised that they still have that policy in the books.
I would also say that as a non-educator myself, I don't really feel qualified to give an opinion on what like ideal classes are. That seems like it's very much a decision for the educational experts, the administration, to do what they believe is educationally appropriate in the schools. So like just in general, I don't really think that's an issue for board consideration. That's my opinion.
Yeah, usually it was delegated. Green Mountain delegated it to admin.
Yeah,
But I'm not saying but my guess is, and I'll reconfirm, but I think it's a moot point because the Act 73 is set in statute what enrollments have to be.
Okay. Well, anyway, if this is just the first reading?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, fine, six. Defer.
All right, announced tuition. Apparently we went out of order on that one too. I'm doing a great job tonight.
That's me. I just included it as part of the budget. I think it'd be easier.
Mission charge of the restructuring committee, and we have a document to read so that it helps make sense. So last time we talked about having a committee, and we kind of talked about who would be on the committee so that in a year we would have hopefully an idea or a plan going forward about where Act 73 might take us and be ready to go. And it would hopefully help us in our budget discussion, I would think. So Lane put this together.
No, that was. I just
Sorry, Katie, thank you. To provide a transparent, inclusive forum for evaluating redistricting options in response to current financial and legislative pressures. With equal representation from the school, board, and community, this committee will focus on solutions that maintain strong educational programs for our students, value our educators, and respect the role of local schools in our community. Do you want to say anything or just, I don't know.
No, I think this is what I feel is the mission of the committee. But I'm happy to take feedback from anyone who has feedback.
I'm not saying it needs to be in here, but obviously part of the reason to do this is to see if we can save some money. Right?
I was going to say, yeah, somehow.
I'm not saying we need to revise it, but maybe that just goes can go unspoken. But,
And it's going to be an issue next, bigger issue next year.
I think having the part where you say a wide representation or equal representation, if this is sort of just our stepping off point, I think that's great. And the only thing I would say is if we're going to officially adopt it, we might want to spell out what those roles were, and add in a piece about being fiscally responsible or something like that. Would be my only.
And sort of would say like the plan on how you're going to get that representation from like the committee.
So that's something that I think we probably need to discuss as a group, right? Because I've had people reach out to me directly to tell me that they want to be part of the committee, but I don't know how we discussed forming that committee. Are we going to vote on who gets to be involved? Or are we going to?
I would personally like to see like a written paragraph from people who are expressing their interest kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then kind of whether we vote on it or we do it where the community can have an input and vote as well. So who's going to kind of represent them as a whole? Maybe a whole.
I think we have to be careful that we don't get so bogged down in details that the committee takes 6 months to get involved, because every time we were like, we'll do this next time, it's a month away because our meetings are once a month. So I know a couple people have reached out to you. I know I've had one person reach out to me. I'm sure there's, we had this list of stakeholders last time. I would say that for our February meeting, if people want to join, they should send a blurb to Lane, and then we can review them in a month and make some, I don't know, but if we put them in a hat and pull them out, if we vote on who we want, I don't know. I just don't know how bogged down we want to get, because I'm afraid it'll elongate the process. That's all I'm worried about.
Read them and discuss, and then have discussions, whether executive session kind of thing.
Yeah.
We could have so it's like so many people from Ludlow and so many people from Ludlow, so it's not all
Yeah, we talked about last time having different groups and then like one from each. So like if there were two and two, it would be, if there were two business people, it would be one business in Ludlow, one business in Mount Holly. If there were two teachers, it would be one teacher in Ludlow, one teacher in Mount Holly.
And to me, that's where you're starting, is you're placing that out to the community. So that then there's fair warning to all community members who want to jump in. And then this group decides how they get chosen.
And last time,
Somebody made a good point too last time about, not the be all and end all who ends up in the committee, because they're going to be open. meetings.
Right, they're all.
So anyone can go, really.
Right. I can't recall off the top of my head who was on it, and I think it's in the meeting minutes, and so that's what I'm looking for. We discussed that there would not be, having 12 members with community members not already associated with school. The board discussed select board members. There was also a discussion about including people from Cavendish, but we then, I think, said that probably wasn't the right time. The board suggested an additional committee member for each community to the original 8 for a total of 10. Ms. Bixby suggested adding a school choice parent from each town. The board discussed how they would complete the outreach. So I think we just come up with that list. People here can obviously put it out to themselves and other people they know, but we could put a thing in the chit chat, the flash, the things we usually do, and then have those blurbs by the 20th. And then my only thing would be that we should really spell out, and I think we've started it here. And then that's when we tabled it. We had sort of like an 8 or a 12 member scenario. And I think we just need to decide on one or the other before we.
Well, I think we can right now say we want to approve the mission statement, agree that we should be soliciting applications, people who are interested, and then we could decide next time.
My only fear with that, Dave, is that it doesn't look like we're cherry picking.
That we want.
So-and-so sent in a thing, and now I want to have 4 people for this so I can get my, that's my.
It's gonna be hard to choose like one person from Ludlow.
Right. So I would.
Well, you want 8 people? You want 12 people?
I think,
Well, it actually, we multiples of three, right? 6, 9, 12.
from each town, so we'd have a board member from Ludlow and Mount Holly. We'd have a teacher, a parent, community member at large, so to speak.
It didn't say parent, did it?
It does here.
Not in the mission.
Oh,
Oh, I
In
don't
the
have it
mission,
in there.
I feel like there should be a bullet added that makes a reference to like financial stability or financial like durability, something, because I
just added, so Kelly brought that up and I added a fourth bullet. Demonstrate fiscal responsibility and responsible stewardship of public resources. That's ridiculous.
So 4, Kelly?
Beautiful categories.
I have board, teachers, parents, community at large. So that's 4
So it's really.
4 stakeholders, 1 from each town, makes an 8-member committee. And then I'm reading here, there was also discussion about having 12 members with extra community members that were not associated with the school. The board discussed select board members. There was also discussion about including cabinets. So I think if we went with what we have here, and I think, I'm not sure that we'd get a select board member, and if they wanted to, they could be part of the community. So if we did 4 community members, 2, 4, 6, 10, that puts us at 10.
should the union identify responsible for identifying the teachers?
We can do that. Yep. We'll have one from, one from Mount Holly.
I like the idea of having 2 community members from each.
Okay,
One
so
having 10, I like that.
So let's say 2 board members, 1 from Ludlow, 1 from Mount Holly, 2 teachers, 1 from Ludlow, Mount Holly. The union will get us those from them. 2 parents, 1 from Ludlow, 1 from Mount Holly. And then 2 community members, 4 community members at large, 2 from Ludlow, 2 from Mount Holly.
Did somebody mention including something with TRSU though, Green Mountain and the Upper Kids, even though this was
School choice.
somebody, yeah.
School choice.
There
I
was
feel like
school
we
choice.
had community.
Because that community member could be a parent.
And that's,
So that's
that could be
taken into consideration when we're making the
Right.
choices.
Yeah, that could, right, but good point, like the community member can still be a parent.
Right,
And the parent is not necessarily a parent of an elementary school student.
right.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
So that's where we could be.
And we might want a variety of, people who don't have kids in the school and people who do, and we can suss that out next time.
And again, we're thinking that, everyone's gonna jump in and throw
Right.
their names into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
All right, so, and I don't think we need to vote on the mission solidly, like we've given you some guideline, we can vote on that next time, right? You're gonna, I assume, edit it for us and bring it back, and that's.
Yeah,
with
and was that it? Just adding a bullet on fiscal responsibility or?
What
was
did
it-
you, what was the one you
I don't know, I'm too tired.
added?
I just wrote demonstrate fiscal responsibility.
Yeah.
I think it's like sustainability is really the key.
There you go.
That is what the outcome would be, to create like a durable system that is sustainable for a long term. We don't have to do this every single year. So I think it's like,
Okay.
sustainability.
Durable, sustainable, I think was words.
Were you gonna add parent?
What's that?
Long-termism.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll like wordsmith it tomorrow.
Okay, you wordsmith it tomorrow, and you have the 2 board, 2 teachers, 2 parents, 4 community, 1 from each town?
Yep.
Okay,
Right.
all right, so that will be on our agenda for
Sorry, one
February.
more thing, if we're also wanting people to send in their, like, people to be aware of it by February.
I think we need to outreach to get people to be on the committee, form the committee at our February meeting, and then those committee members, somebody on the board will be the lead person to start, and then they'll appoint a chair, and that will go forward from that point. Right?
And can we do that and try to get people to join without, do we have to vote on his, the changes to the mission statement before?
I don't think we need to do that until
Okay.
next time. I think because the committee will,
portion of it.
yeah,
I mean, you can get them to express interest.
yeah, expressing interest, right? And also while you're expressing interest, please join our empty seats that are gonna happen in March. And get your ballot petition signed by the 20th. If you'd like to do that, please and please.
26.
26, does that make
want to
sense?
write something up about the committee so that then we can share it?
Yeah,
That way it's a unified message?
If you.
I think it's important when we start to communicate with voters about this year's budget, that we at the same time assure people that we, over the next year, plan to, engage in some, bigger systems thinking, because my concern is, even though we're under the excess spending threshold we were last year, and it still took us a couple of times. So I kind of feel like giving the assurance that yes, we know it's 4% or whatever is in, but at the same time, we're also examining the sustainability of the system, and possibly just so that people understand we're not just I
like that point too, and kind of listen about how you're gonna get out to the community, is we want to do it in the February meeting. But if we were not to hold off too much longer, if we go till March, we can discuss it in both of the town meetings.
Yeah.
If we have a little blurb where we can discuss that and say we are working towards forming this committee and have a quick work then too.
I mean, it's not up to me. I'm just saying we could have a committee. We can put it in the chit chat. We can put it in social media. We can send it.
I could still get
the book.
Yeah,
The books.
put it in the book.
But I think, that's public meeting. I mean, I don't care, but that is public meeting and everybody can come. The committee might be already set. I don't.
I just don't like the house book community was in general.
Are people okay with not setting the committee until after March? I mean, it would be a new board, hopefully.
Well, and I think that this should maybe somewhere clarify that this is not about next school year.
Right.
Yeah. Next year.
Future, right.
Over the
Because
next year.
people may look at this and think, "Ooh, this is," you know what I mean?
Or they freak out that they think we're going to
This is targeting
Right.
a future beyond
Right.
2027.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we'll maybe revisit this in February, but at the March town meetings, we'll put out the outreach. The outreach will go out even before that and around that time. And then at our actual March meeting, our regular meeting in March, we will officially adopt a version of this and set the committee members who have sent in a blurb.
Can we seriously put it in the book though?
Yeah, that it can go in the book. Yeah.
If we're putting it out there, right?
Yeah, there's something for your book.
Yeah, add that in your book. Thanks, Cheryl.
Your letter. I'll put it in my letter too. I know when you need that.
Real flashy. Make it flashy.
Also add something that's like a call to action, so that the whole thing isn't just explaining and defending our choices, but saying, for the people who are saying, don't vote, send a message to the state, we can say, this doesn't send a message to the state, this hurts your kids and your community. What does send a message to the state is ABC, and direct them to what actually will help.
Which I think we did a little bit in that.
I was thinking that right time, right?
Yeah.
I think after, we did a lot when our budget got shut down.
Right.
That's when we did a lot of the outreach, just making sure we do that kind of beforehand.
Sooner, yeah.
Yeah, each person can do that.
Well, the big thing is vote for new legislation.
So I think it's fine to wait till March, but I think there has to be a sort of urgency in this committee and not go, oh, it's summer, let's not meet. Oh,
Right.
You know,
Right.
and there's,
Yeah.
but it's going to fall to the wayside. It has to be.
I don't take vacations around all summer.
Well, I just think we have to push to make it happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's why I'm worried about waiting too long. But I think I also hear that we'll get
The extra week
Yeah.
would be well spent.
Yeah.
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 You should be
All right.
logging in the next school year knowing where you left it and where it falls.
Or at least, well, on our, yeah. Start budget, yeah.
That's right.
All right, blah, 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 blah. Okay, committee report, Rural School Community Alliance, anything on that in front?
No, I mean, a lot's gonna change and,
Right.
and they'll be working on it, but
Thanks for all the fun.
we don't know anything there.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yep.
That is what policy, no, sorry, what policies approved at this meeting, I know, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm reading anymore. Policies approved at this meeting, we did not, we have a second read of the instructional policies next time. Any public comment before y'all leave?
Great school.
They're exiting, no comment. Anybody online, Lane, I can't, are we the only ones?
Back to old business. Didn't we have something about the mascot last time? Did we?
They did request it and I said because of the budget and I knew we'd be here till midnight to put it off for a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
I reached out.
What's that? Yeah, no, we're not, because none of us can see straight as it is.
9:30 is midnight.
Right.
Yeah. And it's raining out there.
Right. Oh, board comment? I would like to thank Amber for her 8 million years of service, but it's the last meeting of. Could we at least give her flowers? Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, we need special meetings, now what? What did you say, Sharon?
What you done?
Yeah.
You're not
sure. So yeah, thank you. It's been fun. And I'm sad to see you go, but I know TRSU does have a plan in place. Ish.
I got 7,000 emails from fireflies.
Yeah.
Oh, the AI
Yeah.
Zoom thing.
It just summarized our meeting.
You don't
Yeah.
just put
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what it is. That's advertising. I wonder if they're putting their bot on our, so that they can send us what it can do.
Yeah.
I bet that's.
That may be it, and then someone
I
puts
bet
something
that's
gets
what
sent out, and then somebody else reads that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely a weird thing. It doesn't feel cozy, that Firefly, we don't know where it's coming from thing. Yeah. Any other board comments?
I just, so.
Midnight.
No. So I've had, two teachers email me about wanting to, I'm sure the same all about it, but I just want to acknowledge that I did get them, I did read them, and
Yeah.
we're working towards it. I don't know,
Were those the ones from last week?
January 8th and January 7th.
Yeah.
I got them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
I
think,
say we have an update from.
right, we have an update and it.
Oh my God, we still have to do an exam.
Yeah.
Big update.
Quick update, right? So yes, I think we received them and we heard them and I think many of us did. Yeah, thank you. All right.
We probably don't need roof bids on the future meeting, right?
Well, we could give you the resolution.
Oh, fine. Yeah.
Updates, yeah. All right. Any other board member comments?
It's the Jen.
Oh, we could save $17 and.
But we gotta find, everybody has them, we just gotta find who they are.
Yeah. I don't think we need to order them if we can't find them, is what I heard Beth say.
Green Mountain is very particular.
All right, self-scoring rubric. If board members are given and have read the agenda and background materials prior to the meeting, I did like having it all in one spot so I could zippy through.
Yes.
Yes.
Board members are respectful of each other, the public and the administration.
Yes.
All right. Board members handled conflict openly and constructively.
Yes.
Yes.
Board members focused on the role and responsibility of the board.
Yeah.
And the giggles. We acted as a team. Once the decision had been made, we worked collaboratively throughout the decision-making process.
Yes.
Yes.
You did a good job. Yes. All right. And I would look for somebody to make a motion to find that premature public knowledge of its discussion regarding labor negotiations with the Teachers Association would clearly place the board at a substantial disadvantage regarding those negotiations.
So move.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Or, yeah, any discussion?
So we have to shut the door?
We will.
I didn't hear.
Then I would look for a motion to move that the board enter executive session with the superintendent and the business manager to discuss the state of negotiations with the Teachers Association as is allowed under 1 VSA 313, Section 1B.
So move.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Good. Now do you mind shutting the door? Sorry. I'm just gonna catch you first. Yeah, oh, yeah.
What's the time?
Wait, we don't want you to.
Sorry, who's second? Did you second?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're in, no actions were taken.
So long.
Yeah.
I move we adjourn.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor?
Wait,
Great.
Dave,
Dave,
Motion
and Katie, other Katie. Anybody opposed? No. Perfect. Let's go.